every week. Nearly every week. If I can find a way to drop that sign. Hold on. There we go. No, I can actually hear. Okay, fine. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
You hear me, Jeff?
I can. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm not a sir. That was my dad.
Well, hello, my friend.
Okay, so right now, I can get my iPad to react. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, but not on the radio quite yet. This is our very powerfully boring pre-show where I share program around. Nothing too fancy here. Just got our sharing to do. Are you going without camera? You're not going to show the world your stunningly
No, I just stepped away, sir.
I'm good.
I'm here.
We're good. We're good. You're good for another 5 minutes or so yet.
Okay.
And even if you don't,
Do you see me or not?
I do not. That's why I asked.
Okay.
If you want to hang back in the back for a while, because I'm good, I always have a lot of stuff I have to run through at the top. So you're good for a while yet. I'm just busting on you a little.
Okay. Why isn't it working? Show. There I am. Okay.
Okay, all our sharing is done. We're about 2 minutes out. And remember, sir, when this is over, the video will stay on the YouTube channel. That's the easiest place for you to take it. And it's all yours. You do whatever you want with it. If you think it'll help you, take it. If you think it'll hurt you, take it more. No, I'm kidding. Did you know Bob Smith was on with that radical? So you just do yours. It's the least we can do for candidates who are kind enough to join us. It's your time. I ain't paying you nothing. I don't have anything to pay you either, but
I could take you to lunch if you want.
Surprised I actually turned on my fan up here. Let's get a tiny bit warm in here. Got all dressed. Somewhat dressed. All right, let's see. We're under a minute. Oh boy. Dog's barking. We were out all day and we could not take her with us, and she's not happy.
Oh, no.
She's not happy. Oh, she's fine. She's just not happy. She's perfectly fine. We take her everywhere that we can, and sometimes we just can't take her. So, okay, 6:01. That's the magic hour. We will be live around the globe on the radio. We're already around the globe. In 3, 2, 1.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know. To you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight? So that he will fight is right. A loyal man who brings a job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you. It's up to you. It's strictly up to you. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed? It's to which we must be true. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's strictly up to you. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? Who'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you'll cast your vote for Kennedy and the change that's over too. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in these United States, North American continent, Western Hemisphere, on this planet Earth. The only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect live with you for November 5th, 2023, the final live program before the end of the 2023 election cycle. And oh yes, folks, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, there are elections in 2023 all across the country. And let me say straight from the top, before I get into any of the business end of the program, please, please, please vote on Tuesday. If you still have a mail-in ballot with you, no matter where you might be across the country, find a drop box and drop it back in. I wouldn't trust the mail at this point, unfortunately. I don't say that with any joy. Find a drop box. If you took the time to get yourself a mail-in ballot, don't waste it. Don't keep it. Use it. Your vote is your voice. It is your constitutional right. It is your civic duty. Please be heard. Take part. Vote. If you plan to vote in person, get there. Make sure you get there when your polls are open. Know where your polling place is. Know what your polling place's hours are. If you need a ride, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of groups across this country that can help get you to the polls so that you can vote and can help get you back home again. If there's bad weather, take an umbrella, dress warm, dress cool if you're in the South, whatever you need to do. But please, please, please vote. As you are going to be able to tell by our program tonight, our doors are open. I have invited more Republicans on this program than I can count, from the highest races down to the most local. And only one man has had the courage to come here. And I'm going to introduce you to him in just a second. But my point is that you're going to hear us disagree on a lot of things tonight. But this is a good and decent man that's joining us tonight. He is my friend, and I'm proud to say it. I'm not sure if he's proud to say it, but I'm proud to say it. And I'm very, very glad that he's here. We can talk to each other. We can disagree, but still talk to each other. Because at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And we should hope we all just want to see a better country, a more perfect union. And no matter how much you might agree with me, no matter how much you might disagree with me and my political views that I share here on this program, it's the basis of the program. I am begging you, whether you agree with me 100% of the time or none of the time, please vote. Obviously, I have an opinion on how I believe you should vote. I have an opinion on what party positions, what parties, what solutions to certain issues, what policy positions, easy for me to say, what policy positions are the best ones for our country. We can disagree on these things. I have my opinion. It's what I'm here for. But even if we disagree on all of them, I still want you to vote. It is your civic duty. It is. It's your civic duty. And it is your constitutional right. Don't let anybody ever take it from you. If your vote was so meaningless, there wouldn't be an entire political structure in this country trying to take it from you. So please, no matter what it takes, no matter what help you might need, please vote. Get your mail-in ballot into a drop box or vote in person on Tuesday, but please, please vote. Kennedy Effect is live with you for the 5th of November, 2023, our last live program before the end of the election cycle. Wherever you might be, the 110 plus places, I think it's about 110 by the time I was all said and done, places that we have shared the program across Facebook. Thank you very much. We could not do it without you. Individuals, private pages, public pages, national pages, wherever it might be. If you have allowed us to be a little corner of your corner of the Facebook universe, we appreciate it very, very much. We couldn't do this program without you. That other side of us, let me try that again. I'm trying, my brain is going quicker than my face at this point, and that's not always a good thing. That other side of information is our home group Facebook page. That other side of information. You will see the program there. I will see your comments and questions. I will see you come into the chat at my personal Facebook page, Facebook line. I don't know what we're calling them these days. My own Facebook, Jeff Kennedy. We're right there. That's where I'll see your comments and questions. We're also live right now in the same time. Wow, tech is so great on YouTube.com. YouTube.com/that other side of information, our home, our YouTube channel. We are live there as well. Hot101.net, our name is our web address. If you don't know hot101.net, then you haven't been listening to me and you haven't been listening to me tell you how to listen to it. Well, I'm going to tell you again. Anyway, hot101.net, our name is our web address, but you don't need the main website to listen. You can use the Apple App Store for the Apple app, Google Play Store for Android, and the TuneIn Radio app. Tap on the app, it opens and you're listening. We don't need registration, credit card, DNA, firstborn, none of that stuff. Tap on it, open, and it runs. If you can connect to the internet anywhere on earth, you can listen to hot101.net. We are also part of the TCP Media Group. We are live there as well. Let's not forget our sponsor, the PayGive app. When you buy things, you have to pay for them. When you do that through the PayGive app, a financial transaction app, we usually call them Cash App, but it's more than that. A financial transaction app, you can designate a percentage of your financial transaction to go to the cause of your choice. It might be cancer, it might be kids charities, animal charities, veterans charities. a cause of your choice. Pay Give app. You have to buy things. When you do, you have to pay for it. Why not give when you do it? Our opening guest, we have two guests tonight. Our second guest will be joining us in the second hour. Our first guest is with us for part or as much of the first hour as he wishes to stay for. And that is my dear friend, Robert Smith. He's the Republican nominee and candidate for Controller of Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. For those of you not from the Commonwealth or not familiar with Lehigh County, it is the home of Allentown, the third largest city in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It is the western half of the Lehigh Valley, made up between Lehigh and Northampton counties, and he is running for Controller of Lehigh County. In every election year, we open up this program wide open to any candidate who is willing to come here and talk to us for any office. In election years that end in odd numbers, i.e. 2023, we try to keep that as local and close to home as possible. It might be a local township council person from Oregon or Texas or from wherever. In this case, it is a county row office, what we call a row office. And we try, because these races can get lost. They can get lost in timing. They can get lost in a lot of folks and not even remembering that there are elections in odd years. We tend to think of the important, next year's a presidential election. 2026 will be a congressional cycle. And we always seem to remember those and think of those, but we forget these odd year, there really are no off years, these odd year elections. Well, these are just important and they can affect your lives just as much, your county government, your local governments, and your school boards, especially. There are legislative races, of course, in New Jersey and in Virginia. We can talk about that later. Right now, we're talking about county government with my friend Robert Smith, again, the Republican candidate and nominee for Controller of neighboring Lehigh County here in the Lehigh Valley. Robert, welcome back to the program. It's been a long time, and it's very good to see you, sir.
You too, Jeff. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. There's no debate with this controller race. You have to depend on the media, League of Women Voters newspaper. So I appreciate you letting candidates come on from different offices, especially Lehigh County controller race, which doesn't seem to draw much interest till this week, of course.
Remind folks, it's been quite a long time since you've been here. Please remind them, who is Robert Smith and how did you get here?
Well, I'm Robert E. Smith Jr. I'm married to Eva. I am a father of 3, a grandfather of 5. I've lived on the east side of Allentown for 30 years now. When I first came to Allentown, I got right involved in community service. I became a member of the Allentown Human Relations Commission. I was nominated and I was elected to vice chairman of the Allentown Human Relations Commission, where we tried to get more minority candidates involved in the fire department and police department. There was a lot of issues in the community. And of course, as we all know, people want to see people in positions that look like them. And as we have an increased Latino community, we needed more Latinos and more Afro-Americans on the police force. So we created from the Human Relations Commission a banding system, which is really important. A banding system is, let's say a person's 100. Sometimes a cultural reason or a language barrier will stop someone from doing good on a test. So someone should not get the job because they don't do good on tests. So what we did was you could pick somebody between, let's say, 90 and 100 if everything else was perfect. And that's what we did to get more minority candidates. And they use that system to this day. Then I got appointed to Allentown City Council, 98 to 2000. That was an exciting time because I hit the first night in the meeting. I was the swing vote for landlord licensing. That's when out-of-town landlords would let their properties go to hell in Allentown, just collect rent and let them go to hell. So this licensing bill at least put them back in line. Of course, now the fee has, risen, but we kept these landlords in check. Thirdly, I've been on the Allentown, then I got elected to the Allentown School Board, 2003 to 2019. That was one of the greatest times of my life. Public service to changing the lives of students was the greatest time of my life. I love the school board in Allentown. We built schools under budget and on time. Admiral Hayes School, it was under budget and on time. I brought back the Learning Dome, which was the planetarium at Deeroff that I have 2 children that graduated Deeroff, and my youngest graduated from Central Catholic. Now my granddaughter goes to Becca. All my children are in the Lehigh Valley. They're all around Allentown, and Eva and I are on the east side of Allentown. Now I decided this year to go county position. I did a district race about 20 years ago, District 3, and I didn't do so well. It's very Democratic, this area. But I decided to go countywide because it's, like countywide, at least you have a 50-50 chance. It's a little better countywide when you run for office. Unfortunately, Allentown, it's a one-party system, as you know now. It's all Democratic on city council. It's all Democratic on school board. It's all Democratic with the controller's office. And even on the county, it's 6-3 Democrat. So it's kind of like one party system now, but on the county level, it's still people working together. And I think Republicans and Democrats can still work together and get elected. So that's why I'm trying. I also think you need a full-time controller, someone that will be there for 4 years, not someone that's going to jump ship next year for a statewide office like my opponent, or last year ran for another office. I pledge, and I pledge to you, and I've pledged it publicly, I will finish my 4-year term without going for another office. Jeff, I'm 61 years old. I'm not here for a stepping stone for another office or a political career. I've always done this for public service. School board didn't get paid. I did 16 years of that, never got paid a penny, never cared. You were involved with so many different things. That's where I learned how to do audits that will help me in the controller's race. Every year we had to audit the budget. I was the finance chair. We had to do audits on city council. We had to do audits on school board. That gives me the experience to walk in here and do the job.
Delph, why is county controller, if we set the actual race aside for just a second, the office itself, the position itself, the responsibilities and duties of the office, it's not something that I think most people would think of as an immediate impact on their lives. Why is it important? Why should people care? Not just in Lehigh County. There's 2,000 something counties across this country. We always have the joke in a presidential year that we don't have one presidential election. We have 50 state elections. I don't think that's even true. We have about 2,000 something, 2,400 or whatever it is. County elections is what we really have. Why is this important? Why is it an important office, not just in Lehigh, but really across the country? These county offices are so very overlooked, but the controller's office, what's important about it? What do people need to know about it?
Well, this office is independent, it's neutral, and it's the fiscal watchdog of the tax money. If there's any skimming or if there's any fraud, the controller's office will find it. If grant money is let's say the state gives this county grant money, and the grant money is an in and out grant, and the grant goes to a business, and the people never use the grant money for its purpose. That's where the controller can do investigations and say, you got this grant money from the county, but you didn't spend it on veterans, let's just say. This money was supposed to go to veterans who suffer from traumatic brain injuries. That's one example. And the money's never spent on these veterans. The controller can do these investigations and then bring it forth and say, listen, we gave this money to this organization and they're not spending the money in the right place. The people need to know that their tax money is being spent efficiently, fairly, and going to the right places. And you need a controller that's not for one party or the other party. You need an independent voice, a person that's not going to take sides, but treat everyone equally. And what we all have in common is the green, our money, our tax money we all have in common. And we all need to watch it. And I will watch it for everyone equally, independents, Republicans, and Democrats.
Clearly, we have a two-party system in this country, unfortunately. I think it might even be a little healthier if we had more than that. Nationally, certainly, I think there's only one party that's functioning. You've talked about independence. I think independence is extremely important. How do you stay independent when you're running? You are the Republican nominee. Your party is going to, if you're successful in this race, they're going to expect certain things from you. How do you stay independent?
Well, I've been in public office before, and I can go back to my Allentown City Council days for this. Bill Hite was a Republican mayor. He wanted a rubber stamp councilman. And I like Bill, don't get me wrong, but Bill wanted me to vote every single way he wanted, and I didn't. And when I went against him, he ran somebody against me, Pam Verconi. These are all facts and historic. I don't rubber stamp anyone. I do what's right. And the party can try and tell, they can always advise and suggest. I'll take that from Democrats or Republican Party. But I will make the final decision, and I will be independent. And my track record proves it. On the Allentown School Board, I never wanted to raise taxes. Never. We went 5 years with a zero tax increase. Zero tax increase. 1 year, I couldn't get it to zero. It was 3.50. I wanted to get it to zero. I tried 3 or 4 votes. And then finally, there was only 8 of us. It was 4-4. And I went to a couple of Democrat opponents who were for the 3.50. And on my last year on the board, I compromised and got 1.75. Jeff, you don't always get everything you want, but the people won. They didn't get they didn't get 0, but they didn't get the 3.50. They got 1.75. Sometimes you got to take what you can get and compromise and work together. And Sarah Brace went along with that too. She was on the board at the time. And I worked good with Democrats, and we worked together on that. We didn't get to 0 because people have their strong beliefs on one side, and I have my strong beliefs. But we came together in the middle, and the people won. The people won, Jeff.
The job of any candidate for any office, and not every candidate enjoys it, unfortunately, is education. You have to educate people along the way about yourself, about what you stand for, about what you've done in your life, about your qualifications, but also about the office. Again, it might sound like I'm asking you the same question twice. Maybe, arguably, I am. But when you're having conversations with folks, as you're knocking doors, you're giving speeches, you're at larger meetings, you visit a chamber of commerce here or a small business here, and you explain or attempt to explain to them about the office. What do you tell people? What do they tell you about the office? I don't know what it does. I don't care. Or I really know what it does, and I really care. What are the conversations that you've been like about educating people about the office itself throughout the campaign?
Well, you definitely have to audit all the different departments. You have to go over the finance forms of all the different candidates. You have to make sure payroll is right. There's so many different aspects. Grant money. You are making sure that all the money is going into the right places. As director of operations of my company, I oversaw 30 people. So you have an office of 8 people that you have to manage. You have to have management skills. That's really important. You have to know how to lead people. That's very important. I had to do spreadsheets. I had to give money. I had to do allowances for veterans and residents in my nursing home. So I've gone into the nitty gritty, and those spreadsheets are a pain in the neck, let me tell you. But I know how to do it. And I know in the county level, it's going to be a lot larger. I'll have a lot of people to help me. And anything I need to learn, I will learn. But I have experience on executive experience overseeing people. I also have experience on audits. City council, they are the most boringest meetings, but they're important. Every year you have to do an audit on the school board. Every quarter you have to do an audit to make sure the money is being spent and the money's being spent right. I've oversaw different departments being the finance chair. I've overseen in city council audits. So I've done city audits. I've done school board audits. And the school board, Allentown's almost as high as the county, believe it or not. I know it's over 350 million now. It was about 300 million when I was on the board. And also you have to get along with the different departments. And I think you can be independent office, but I think it's so important that you get along with the other row officers. Of course, you're going to disagree, but if you're not talking to each other, like you say, we're talking to each other. We don't agree on some subjects, that's sure. But the county executive and myself, the county executive, Phil Armstrong, is a Democrat. I'm a Republican. Do you know he came over to me at the last meeting and said hello and talked to me? The man is a gentleman. Him and I will get along great next year. I really admire him. Here's a teacher. There's a teacher for you, and he's the county executive. If I need to learn anything, I have a teacher right there. There will be other people that I can learn from the other row officers. And I think, and the current person doesn't even talk to the county executive. I mean, this is speculation that I hear. I don't know personally, but I've heard they don't talk. But I get along with these people. And it's important. If I had to call up the solicitor, when I was on the school board president, this is an example. Instead of getting the school board, some members wanted to get their own solicitor, and this has come up on the county level. We're not going to get our own solicitor. I'll call up the solicitor. I'll tell him the problem. He'll advise me. We won't have to spend any extra money. Let's just go through this. I can get things done over the phone in a 10 or 15-minute phone call instead of having to get a private solicitor, get a written opinion. You need relationship building. You need trust, Jeff. People don't trust each other, as we see on the national level. You see Congress, what's going on there. I mean, I'm not going to compare Congress to the local level, but every time I've been in office on city council, I've been the lone Republican, or 2 Republicans on city council with David Bausch. The other 5 are Democrats. On the school board, I was the only Republican for a few years. I could have just said no, 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 no. I said, no, we're going to get things done. And the people respected my opinion because they knew I was coming for the students. I wasn't there for any personal agendas. I was there for the students. My children went to Deerhoof. I wanted the school district to thrive. I know we keep going back to education. I'm sorry, but education's always was really important to me.
No, in fact, I wish more folks on your side of the aisle valued education the way you do. We're seeing, I've spent a lot of time on this program in the last 6 months or so talking about Moms for Liberty. I wish the genuine caring and valuing of education that you hold, and I've always felt that you have, it was more universal on that side of the aisle. Sadly, it isn't. But we're not running for educational offices. Hopefully we can have a discussion on a different day about education, or devote another program to it. How hard is it, do you think, to be that independent when you do know these folks? If you have to come down hard on that county exec and say, look, we check this out, and this spending is out of control, or this money didn't go where it was supposed to, or you spent X on this and that's not how it's supposed to be done. I think humans are naturally conflict averse. Are these problems that if you even want to call them problems, really, are these problems that concern you? Are they, I don't want to say that you're looking forward to them, but I think I'm trying to get at. Are they?
Right. I see what you're saying, and I've gone over this. I mean, I'm not there yet, but I understand the question. And if I ever had a problem, I know the principles. That's what's so good about this. I know the finance chair, John Dutt, who's another teacher, which is, another person I can learn to, by the way. And first of all, I don't see the county executive and I ever having a problem, but let's say we do. Okay, for hypothetical. Let's say, okay, we don't agree on this, Phil. I'm going to have to talk to the commissioners, but I'll go to him first. I will give him the opportunity as the executive of the county to talk to him first. I would go to the leader of the county first. And then if it didn't work, then I go to John Brace and the county, the chairman, Mr. Brace. And he's a very nice person to deal with. Very, very good at his job, listens. And then I would go to John Dutt, the finance chair. And I would think we would work it out. I really do. I don't have a problem with the commissioners that are in place. I know most of the people running, except one person I don't know personally. I think John Irons is the only one I don't know personally, but I think everyone else I know pretty well that's running for county commissioners. And of course, one of them is my daughter, so I know her pretty well. But I think I don't see any problem. And if there is a disagreement, we're going to disagree. You and I disagree, but I think we'll still work it out. I'm not going to go and have a press conference or a stunt against them. That's for sure. I'm going to say, how can we work this out so we fix this problem? That's the way I always did it behind the scenes. An example again, and I'm going to go back to education. How many people have complained about principals and they would come to school board members? And instead of I could have went to the school board meeting and, put them on the spot publicly, but I called up the superintendent. The superintendent took care of it within hours. And that's how you get things done. If there was ever a serious problem, I would talk to the county executive. I would talk to the solicitor department. I would talk to the county commissioner chairman and John Dutt and a couple of the commissioners. And I think we could work it out over a phone call, over lunch. I think when you have relationships and you have trust, you can get things done.
6:30. We're already halfway through however long Robert wants to stay. We don't hold anybody here.
I was going to 7 if
I
you're.
set aside, yep, I set aside the first hour for you, but you stay
All
as
right.
much as you want to into that first hour. Halfway
Okay.
through our first hour with Robert Bob Smith, Republican candidate and nominee for Controller of Lehigh County. We have been focusing on these local school board, township council, these local county, these more local races here in this odd year, because we don't have off years. We have years ending in odd numbers. We will continue in just a second. That other side of information is our home group Facebook page. We've shared the program to about 105. I think I did some quick math. I was a little bit overzealous when I said 110. I think we're at about 105, 106 places that we have shared the program to this week, to every single person who has allowed us to be a little part of your Facebook universe. We thank you very, very much to every individual group, public page, private page, national page, whatever it might be. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We could not do it without you. That other side of information is our home group Facebook page. We are live there right now. My personal Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy, is where I will see your comments and questions and say hello to you when you enter the chat. We are also live on our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information, as well. And remember, if you miss any of the program after we're done, go to YouTube. It's right there. It's the easiest place to catch up on our program after the live portion of the program ends. Following us at 9 p.m. Eastern, The Villain's View on hot101.net and on our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. Oh, yeah, speaking of hot101.net, we are live around the globe on hot101.net. Right now, our name is our web address. If you can connect to the internet, there's nowhere that you cannot listen to us. Laptops, desktops, tablets, phones, Bluetooth headphones, speakers, Bluetooth it in the car, whatever. And of course, you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and the TuneIn Radio app. TCP Media Group as well, and of course our sponsor, the PayGive app, www.paygive.org. When you buy things, you have to pay for them. Why not give while you do it? Bob, what are your priorities as controller? What do you want to get in there and dig into? Is you everyone who enters a controller type office, treasurer, controller of a municipality, of a company, of a county, there's something that they really want to look into because they might think something's not quite right with it, and they really want to dig into it. What do you want to dig into?
Well, like I said, grant money that's not being used for the proper reasons. A lot of companies give grant money, and I've seen it firsthand. And they're called in and out grants. Like if Lehigh County doesn't accept it, it goes to Pittsburgh. I understand that. But I just want to make sure that we do a follow-up to the grant money. And I want to make sure that happens. This is really a pet peeve of mine, especially with veteran groups and other nursing home situations. I want to make sure the money is going to the right place and it's being used. We don't follow up with it. It's an in and out grant. The commissioners okay it. Oh, that's great. We got state money. It sounds great. That's taxpayer money that people forget. Grant money is taxpayer money. So, but make sure I'm all for grant money. We should get as much as we possibly can. But is it going to the right things? And are they being used for the right people? And I've seen sometimes the money is more administrative, or the money is building the buildings and nobody goes into the buildings. Now, how is that right? If there's a building there for veterans or people with traumatic brain injuries, then that building should be filled with those people. It shouldn't be a horse and pony show just sitting there doing nothing. And that's just one example. Also, I think we're going to be in tight times right now, as you can see. The Lehigh Valley Hospital, certain companies are downsizing. You see a lot of companies, 32 hours, they're cutting employees. We need to make sure that our money, I understand we have a 5-year plan. Let's make sure we have a 5-year plan that's stable for the county, because this is going to get really serious in the next year or two. The war is going to take its toll on our country. We're one pandemic away from shutting everything down again, maybe. So we've got to be prepared for everything. Insurance is a big deal for me. We've got to make sure if there's a hurricane or something serious in the valley, we've been very lucky when people can't pay for their insurance, or a lot of people don't have water insurance. So we need to make sure that people have insurance. Climate change is also a big thing, and the environment. I know the controller's office may not get into it indirectly, but farms is also very important. farming is very important. We don't want somebody coming in, gobbling up all the Lehigh County farms and putting buildings up there. We need to make sure our farmers are protected. And if any way I can do that from the controller's office and assist the commissioners and assist the county executive, I want to be an assistant, assist them in these areas. And I don't want to be a gotcha controller, Jeff. If I find a mistake, I think it's important. Look, there's a mistakes, and I always hear, well, that's the way we've always done it. I'm so tired of that phrase. Well, let's do it the right way now. Let's change things. Let's do it the right way. And people just sometimes are so scared of their jobs or so scared of like not saying what's right. And I'm brave enough to say what's right. I can do it in a way where it's not going to be argumentative. I'm going to do it in a way. This is what is the way you're supposed to do it. This is the way that's easier. And I want to make sure all our technology is modernized in the office as well. Let's say we get down, the internet goes down. How are people getting paid? Do they have to write out checks? I think we have to always have a backup plan. So there's a lot of things on my plate that I want to look into. And I look forward to diving right in and learning as I go. It'll take a couple weeks probably to learn everything, but I'll have plenty of people helping me. Glenn Eckert, a former controller, said if anything I needed, I could always call him. He did the job. And hopefully I'll have a good transition period when I win with Mark, hopefully.
It's always seemed to me that and maybe this is a more broad governmental question, but I think it's applicable to the controller's office. It's a discussion I've had with controllers previous. That the next level of government up, one of their duties is to assist the level below them. It seems to me that the controller's office, as well as the commissioners, the exec's office, should be backstops. You talked about being an assistant, assisting the local municipalities. If a municipality is doing an audit, why can't the county back them up with that? If they're having legislative issues or trying to preserve farm space and they need that, the next level of government up from them should be a backstop and a support and an assistant. Do you see that as well? Do you feel that way? Or is it hands off? Let the locals take care of it.
No, especially being an Allentonian. I'm in the east side of Allentown. I would do everything for that's another thing. There's nobody from Allentown up there on the row homes, if you notice, on the row offices. I'm from Allentown. So this city, I love this city, my wife and I. 30 years we lived here, and I'll probably die here. But I would do everything to help Allentown and the mayor of Allentown. I mean, I don't talk to him every day, but I have a good relationship with Mayor Dirk. I mean, that's important. City council people I talk to, so I have good relationships there. If they ever needed the county, I mean, I think we should be supporting the Iron Pigs. I know that came up too. That's another thing. But anything the city needs, I would definitely be there in an assistive role. I'm always there. Even if I win or lose, I'm here to help. I'm part of a community groups for Crime Watch, Midway Manor, and groups to help our students and our young athletes. And a big issue that's going to be, and I know the county is going to be a little bit involved with this, is the Allentown State Hospital property. We're going to have 1,000 homes. So the county is going to get bigger, Jeff. We're not getting smaller. The tax base is going to grow. So as we grow, we've got to make sure we have the infrastructure there. We have to make sure that we have the traffic patterns right, the engineering, the water. I mean, this could be a traffic nightmare here if we don't do this right. So I know that the executive and all the people that are doing this know this, but as a person that lives a block away from the Allentown State property, that's going to be a lot of jobs up there and a lot of new homes and a lot of new students. So that's a big part. And of course, the Gendel waterfront. So we've got some major projects in this county. Those two are just in Allentown alone. This county is really busting. It's growing. That's one of the reasons that we have a 5-year good plan. But I just wanted to make sure that we have, like you said, safeguards in place. One catastrophe and that 5-year plan turns into a nightmare. So we've got to be ready. We have to have backup. And I know they have a rainy day fund, which is good. And I just want to make sure the money's being spent efficiently. And if it's not, and if there's fraud anywhere, which I don't really think, it's not really fraud on purpose. Of course, there could be isolated incidents. There's always someone doing something wrong, isolated. But I think sometimes people maybe do mistakes. And mistakes are different than fraud. People may be innocent mistakes that need to be corrected. and they didn't realize they're even doing it sometimes. So I want to be there to help people.
Let's get into just some of the more dicey parts of this campaign. Current controller has found through his various audits of $4.1 million in overspending, spending that could be corrected by simple policy changes. Do you agree with what he's found? Should those policy changes be made? What are your thoughts?
Well, 4.1 million is a lot of money. I thought that he found some money.
My dad told me when I was young, you'll appreciate this, I think. Yeah. We're roughly the same age. I think you'll appreciate this. When I was my very first job, I was a junior in high school when I started working full-time. 15 years old, I started working full-time. I was making $3.15 an hour. That was the minimum wage. Way back in the dark ages.
That's what I made too.
When you and I were young, way back in the dark ages.
I was a dishwasher.
Yeah, I was working in a warehouse, just hoofing boxes, unloading trucks and breaking down boxes and things like that, emptying garbage cans, sweeping floors, all that fun stuff. And I got a raise to $3.30, I think it was. No, to $3.25. That's what it was. It was to $3.25. I got a dime. And I remember thinking, that's nothing. It's nothing. I was really pissed off about it. I thought it was a real slap in the face. And I remember complaining to my father, and he got a piece of paper and a pencil, and we did the math as to how much more that turned out to per hour, per day, per week, per month, per year. And when we got to that monthly and yearly figure, which is math I can't do in my head right now, to be honest, I'm too old for that. But he said, now, if I took that amount of money and I put it in an envelope and I handed it to you, would you take it? I said, of course I would. He goes, well, then that's how you know it's a lot of money. $4 million is a lot of money in annual spending that could be saved by the county. That the current controller, your opponent, has found. The policy changes that he had recommended to save that money on an annual basis are not rocket science. They're not communism or fascism or socialism. They're simply policy changes. I'm sure you've studied the audits because you're running for the position.
Did he go to?
And where he found this money? Yes, he did. And where he found this money, stood in front of council, the commissioners, I should say. It's council here in Northampton. You know what I mean.
Right.
I'm mixing up my terms.
Yes.
And presented his findings, and no action has been taken. Have you studied these audits, the proposed changes, and why do you support them, and why do you think nothing has been done about them?
Well, I'd like to I would talk to John Dudd about that. He's the finance chairman. I would talk to him personally about that and see. I think this could be worked out, but I'm not sure if there's money to be saved. I'm sure the commissioners want to save it. I mean, there's a no tax increase this year. There was only one budget amendment that was proposed in the whole budget, only one budget amendment, and that was to add $10,000 to the controller's office, which was not needed and which was vetoed by the county executive. And the veto will be upheld on Wednesday night, the day after the election.
Are you aware of the audits that I'm referring to?
I have not studied every audit, but I know about insurance savings. I know about those audits, but I'd still like to talk to the finance chair about this before I, comment on something about why it's not being done. I don't know. I, of course, would support any kind of policy change that would save the taxpayers money. That goes without saying, Jeff.
You talked a lot about independence, and I think it's something that a lot of people can get behind, especially in a financial analysis position, which is what the controller's office is. It's financial analytics. Let's be honest. It's a little geeky sometimes, and I say that in a good way. It's not something that people should be afraid of. It's not something they should shy away from. You want somebody who's going to dig into the numbers and, as you say, open up the spread out the spreadsheets, if you will. This race has gotten a bit chippy and there's been some nastiness Why do you think that is?
Well, I like to bring out facts. I don't think I was nasty on my part. What I brought out was someone brought to my attention that the current controller is running for another race next year, Auditor General. And the current controller ran for state senate last year. So I think as a candidate for controller, it's only fair to let the people know that I will do the 4-year term. I will not run for another office. Here, the current controller really doesn't want to be a controller, Jeff. Let's face it. I'm not saying nothing against ambition. It's good to be ambitious. He should try and do whatever he wants. He's got a side business. That's great. He should be a state senator if that's what he wants. He should be auditor general if that's what he wants. But he shouldn't use the current controller job as a stepping stone for another race. If he won last year, he wouldn't be here this year. If he wins this race, then runs for auditor general and wins, we have to appoint someone. He's using the office for another race. That's not being nasty. That's just providing the people with facts. So that part I think is factual, and the people should know that. I pledge not to run for another office. Secondly,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There was $50,000 by a lawyer, the most biggest contribution ever to a county roll officer. This is a historic thing, $50,000. The federal races, you can only give $3,300. My biggest donation was $1,500 by Bob Lovett, my friend. The rest were $35, $50, $250. Well, varies that. I don't know anybody who would ever give me 50 grand, to be honest. I don't know billionaires or millionaires like that. And I'd rather have the common people support me. There's the Democrat chairman said it, quote unquote. He says it doesn't smell right. That's coming from a Democrat. That's coming from a Democrat chairman that said it doesn't smell right. Now, it may be perfectly legal, I'm sure, to give $50,000 to someone for a race. But look at the facts. Mark did a good job getting involved with this misdiagnosis. He brings the people to these different meetings. Then all of a sudden, these people are represented by this lawyer, Matafly. And then Matafly turns around and gives $50,000 to Mark Pinsley that's erased all his debt. Now, he can claim when he met him or when it was given, but come on. Who gives 50 grand if they're not getting something back? Why didn't he give him the 50 grand last year if he liked him so much for the state senate race? He might have won if he got that 50 grand last year. He would have won that race, maybe.
Well, then I'm sure Mr. Yass just would have put in another million out of his own pocket, the same way he spent over 10 million in the Supreme Court race alone so far this year. He owns the state senator that represents you.
Actually, you're wrong there. See, you got to get your facts right. I have a decent senator. He happens to be a Democrat. His name's Nick Miller. That's who represents me.
Oh, I got the
and
district.
He's a very good person. He's a very good
district. Then I got the district. You and I have talked offline about Mr. Coleman being owned. So I don't think we disagree on it, to be honest. And I think that we've also talked.
I just disagreed with my state rep, my state senator.
Yep, I got the districts wrong. I got the Senate districts wrong. Look at me. Look at me. What a mature thing. Oh my God, I'm admitting I did something wrong. And look, I didn't burst into flames. And neither did you for pointing it out. How amazing. Look, America still works. Sometimes America still works.
Yes.
We do know. So you mentioned that you don't think the timing of the donation is important. Why?
No, I think the timing is right. And it's in the last report. That's when it got put in. I think that is important.
After the current controller started this investigation, not before, the money came in. So
right. The money came in after the investigation.
Right. So is that important, or does it not negate the implication that you're making of pay for play?
I think there's a connection.
I'm just asking you a question. You don't have to agree with it.
I think there's a connection to what Mr. Pinsley did with those people and the lawyer representing the people. There is some kind of connection. That is what I believe. Somebody doesn't just give $50,000 for nothing. Come on.
Even though it was after the investigation was pretty much wrapped up.
But why didn't he put the money in right away then? Why did he sit on the check?
Perhaps you should ask the lawyer that
No,
rather
good
than make
question.
the implication of for Mr. Pinsley to take it. Because I'm with you. If I was running for office and somebody's going to plop down 50 grand, I'd probably, my initial reaction would be to take it because I have a campaign to finance. But yeah, I think we'd both look into it. But if it's after I did the thing that the person giving me the money already supported, it does kind of take the implication away.
It's skeptical. We're going by verbalization on when that happened, though.
Skepticism is, look, skepticism is usually healthy, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I'm
Let
just
me
saying.
ask you about the Mr. Pinsley is suing the Republican Party of York County for a flyer that's been put out about him. He's suing them for defamation, saying that the flyer is not just full of implications or even campaign promises or platforms or policies, but just simply a lie. We had a court case in Bucks County get solved this week where the Democratic Party was given permission to remove signs from around Bucks County put up by the Republican Party that were deemed defamation and lies in court. Why, as a man who's talked a lot about independence in this, well, we're not up to an hour yet, but who's talked a lot about independence and being an independent person, and I think you are. I think you're one of the best guys I know. We don't agree on a lot, but I think you're one of the best men I know. What can you say about this lawsuit? Why would your party have to lie if indeed you believe that they are? What do you have to say about this general incident? I'll try to keep it as general as I can because it is an active lawsuit.
I got to be careful because it is a lawsuit, but I don't like this kind of politics. I never did. I don't like when it's done to me, and I don't like when it's done to everyone else. But I'm part of I'll talk about the defunding. The defunding is saying about the police is when he took suggested taking money from the DA's office and put it into the public defender's office, which in a sense is defunding law enforcement. So there's some legitimacy to that one. He was at a rally. They said Netanyahu was a war criminal. I mean, it's going. I really don't want to comment more than that. But he was at the rally, and he said Netanyahu was a war criminal. I don't know what he's claiming defamation. I mean, that Friday, October 13th, Hamas declared America and Israel death to us. Death to us. Israel just got the worst attack since the Holocaust. Americans died. Israel has died. And that night, Friday night, he's at a pro-Palestine rally. I'm not, that's
so
just.
Do you think then it is impossible to be pro-Palestinian and anti-Hamas all at the same time?
I'm not in his head. I'm sure it's possible.
I'm not asking you what's in his head. I'm asking you, Bob Smith. Can you be pro-Palestinian people and anti-Hamas all at the same time?
I can disagree with my president and still support him.
I think that falls exactly in the same line of what I was going to ask you. Can you be pro-Palestinian people and anti-Hamas all at the same time?
You can't be anti-Israel. And it was an anti-Israel rally.
Can you be anti-Netanyahu government and still support the nation state of Israel?
The country's at war. You should support the president who's representing the military going into battle to fight for the country's existence. How can you not support the president of your country, Israel's country?
Because it's not our country, it's Israel. They are a valued and key ally, and perhaps in all reality, our only ally in the area, despite what we might get told about some other nations in the region. Perhaps another discussion for yet another day. But
it was poor judgment for him to go to that rally. I'll leave it at that.
Have you ever gone to a rally where some of the speakers have said something you don't agree with?
Yeah, of course. But I didn't go to a anti-Israel rally. I've never gone to an anti-Israel rally.
Why is it a hard question if you can support the Palestinian people but be against Hamas all at the same time? You're struggling with this one. Why is that a hard question?
Well, because you're wording it wrong. There were people, the speakers there, I saw the whole video of the rally, and there were people saying that no, it was a war criminal.
Not
And that's
talking
not
about
right.
that rally. I'm asking about the general principle that the people on the ground, men, women, children, seniors, Palestinian people, just civilians, people on the ground, that we can support them. We can
Yes,
care
of course.
about them.
That's what I'm saying.
We
I thought
can
you were talking about the
We can
rally.
be empathetic with them. We can want that. The United States is pushing for a ceasefire for them to get food, aid, water, medicine,
I support that.
yet still stand against Hamas as a terrorist organization.
I agree with that.
We're
Yes,
pretty smart folks, us Americans. I think we can handle those two things, can't we?
I agree with that. Yes. I thought
It's
you were talking
6:50.
about the rally.
It's 6:55. I want to get 56. That's what I get for saying that. The freaking clock changed on me right there. I want to give you the remainder of the time to yourself and just give you the open floor. If there is anything that you wanted to say that we didn't get to touch on, any answer that you didn't get to flush out, any point that you wanted to make, how can people, even at this late hour, the end of Sunday before the end of the election cycle on Tuesday, or just about 49 hours away from the end of the cycle, how do people follow you, find you, get in touch with you? Whatever you're willing to share on that point, you have to give your street address. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to.
Sure, my phone number.
Yeah.
I'll give my phone number, 610-393-4703. I expect anyone to call me if they want any questions, personal or about the campaign. I'm willing to answer any question or email. I think everyone should go to vote. It's so important, especially these elections, school board, city council, county races. Please go out and vote. And I just want everyone to know that my day job, I'm a program specialist. I work with people with brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries, people, veterans that come back from wars like Ukraine and Middle East and Iraq and Afghanistan. And I work with these people every day. And the biggest thrill of their lives is going back into the community and integrating on doing different things and talking to people. And they love to talk to people. And as a public servant, I just want you to know, whatever happens in this race, I will always be a public servant for the people of Lehigh County. I love this valley. When I almost died in 2010, I was so overwhelmed by the love from Lehigh Valley. A woman almost was jumping off the roof. I grabbed her. We fell down at my job. She landed on me, broke my ribs. I'm disabled in my left hand, but I can still drive and I can still work. And I just want disabled people to know you can run for office, you can work, you can do anything. And I want to be a role model for them. I want to help people. There's only 2 or 3 people that I don't get along with, I think, in Lehigh County, unfortunately, because of politics. But I think as a Catholic, you're supposed to forgive and forget. And I think I've forgiven almost everybody but 2 people. So I think I'm working on that as a Catholic. So anybody from independents, Democrats, Republicans can always reach out to me. I just love public service. I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm not running for any other office. I don't want to be executive in 2 years. I don't want to be a congressman. I want to be a controller because this is a new part of my life. I think it's like I'm 61. I think I'll do this for definitely 1 term, maybe 2. We'll see. I'm not going to live my life that far ahead. Let's take it one day at a time. But I just want to do public service. And if anybody has any questions or if you can help me election day, I really appreciate it. But the most important thing you can do is go out and vote. I love this city. I love this county. And thank you, Jeff. You're always fair. And I appreciate being on your show today. Thank you very much.
Well, as I tell everybody, you're not a brand new guest to us, but let me humbly remind you that the door's open to you. You're always welcome here. You remain, other than a caller or 2, I think, yeah, you remain the only Republican who has been willing to come here and talk to me. The rest of them are simply, sadly, too afraid to do it. I had a woman from the Commonwealth Foundation was going to show. She skipped. I've contacted every Republican campaign of note across this Commonwealth since we started this program, including Mr. Mastriano. Got through to a couple of his spokespeople, had actual exchanges, lovely, actually polite, wonderful, kind exchanges. But at the end of the day, you're the only one. So tell the rest of your friends not to be afraid of me. We might not agree, but we will talk to each other and we will be respectful. You know me. I don't stand on top of the table and yell and shout names and play sound effects and all that stuff. But if we can't talk to each other, at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And I've
Amen.
described you on this program before that I know that in my heart, and obviously I hope it doesn't matter. I mean, we made it through the pandemic. I was able to keep a roof over my head. But if something terrible happened to me and I needed a place or I needed a meal or something, I know I could go find you. And I know you would say, come sit here. So you're a good man. We just happen to disagree on some issues. That's all. We're still both Americans.
That's right.
And, not enough of us remember that, unfortunately. But I'm very pleased that you're here. You're always, always welcome here. Always.
Thank
Please
you.
know that. And I hope that you'll come, win, lose, or draw. I hope you'll come back and see us again. And
I will.
for the remainder of the campaign trail, such as it is, like I said, 49 hours now, stay safe and enjoy it. And
Thank you.
we'll talk again soon.
God bless you. Thank you.
You also. Thank you very much.
Good night.
That's Robert Smith. He's the Republican nominee and candidate for Controller of Lehigh County. And if you're not familiar with where Lehigh County is,
How was it?
you should be. And it's important. It's a big part of our Commonwealth. It is the Lehigh Valley is the fastest growing area in the Commonwealth. Our population continues to swell. If you look at a population graph of our area, it continues to go up, even when economic calamities happen, when industry shut down, all of it. We're still here, and there are hundreds of folks around the country like Bob Smith who are running for county offices all across this country. And while he might be, in a county that's not next to yours, that doesn't mean that what he's doing is not representative of what's happening in your county. There are good folks running for county offices all across this country. And you can remember what Bob said at the end of his time and what I said at the beginning of the top of the show. And here we are again. We're pretty far apart in the political spectrum, he and I. But what is the big, big message? Vote. Vote, 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 and vote, and vote, and vote. All of you. You get one. It doesn't take that long. It takes about maybe an hour per year between the primary and the general election for you to vote and be heard. For goodness sake. If your vote was so meaningless, there would not be this huge political structure funded by billionaires to try to take that vote from you. There was a report in The Guardian just on Friday that leading up to the ballot question vote happening as part of the odd year election in the state of Ohio, that the Ohio state government purged 26,000 people from the voter rolls without their knowledge. Now, if your one person, one vote was so damn meaningless, stuff like that wouldn't happen. But I have said this to you many, 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 many times before. It is the 1% against the 99. And I'm not proud of that, and I'm not happy about it. We should be better than that. but it's the truth of it. It is the truth of it. And at the end of the day, if there's 100 people in the room, we all each get one vote. 99 is greater than 1. So they have to try to take the vote from you. That's just the truth of it as well. There's a reason why. They don't want you to vote. And that's exactly why you need to do it. So please go vote. If you have a mail-in ballot, find a drop box or go to your county office and drop it there. Or go on your local county government website and find out where you can take that ballot. It's too late to mail it now. In my county, there are 4 places, well, 5 if you count the county courthouse, where you can drop your ballot around the county. Lehigh has, I think, 7 different places. I might have that wrong. Don't persecute me if I have it wrong. I think it's 7, though. I think, but I could be wrong about that. There's 5 here in Northampton. There's 4 drop boxes plus the county courthouse. So I think there's 5 here in Northampton. I think there's 7 in Lehigh. But whatever county you're in, whatever state you're in, if you have a mail-in ballot, please drop it off. You requesting that mail-in ballot, filling it out, and leaving it on your desk doesn't help anybody. That's not the completion of the process. You need to get that ballot back. If you're going to vote in person on Tuesday, thank you. But have a plan in case you get a flat tire, it rains, it snows, there's a line. You thought you could go before work, then you can't. And now you're not sure if you can go after. Lunch may not be long enough. Have a plan, but please vote. Whether you're a regular listener of this program or a first timer, whether you agree with me all the time or disagree with me all the time, vote. Your vote is your voice, and you deserve to be heard. 7:07 Eastern Time, entering our second hour. Our guest is in the waiting. Well, he's kind of here. You're not seeing him on screen because he hasn't turned his camera on yet, but he's here, and we're ready to rock and roll. 7:07 Eastern Time. We've entered the second hour of the Kennedy Effect, live with you for the 5th of November, 2023, our last live program before the end of the election cycle, just under 49 hours away from here. Very much of a countdown show it's turned into. I swear it's not going to be a launch at the end of it. It's just a countdown to the end of the election cycle. Please, please, please vote. Wherever you might be across the Facebook universe, thank you for allowing us to be there. We've shared the program about 110 different places this week. Groups both large and small, public and private pages, and individuals have shared the program, and we are immensely grateful to every single one of you who have done so. We could not do it without you. We could not be here if you are not there. So thank you. That other side of information is our home group Facebook page. It's also our home YouTube channel. If you've missed any of the program tonight, go to our YouTube channel, watch the recording after we finish up here live. YouTube, always the best place to catch up if you missed any of the program live. YouTube.com/that other side of information, he tried to say. And that other side of information is our home group Facebook page. Hot101.net, our name is our web address. Hot101.net, one of the originators of internet radio. We are global and around the world. If you can connect to the internet, you can listen to us, and on any type of device, laptop, desktop, tablet, phone. You can Bluetooth to earbuds, headphones, speakers, Bluetooth through the car. And of course, you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. And I strongly encourage you to do so. It's incredibly simple. But what is also simple is our apps. You don't need to use the main website to listen. You can use our apps. If you have Apple devices, go to the Apple App Store. Android devices, go to the Google Play Store. Any other type of device, you could try the TuneIn Radio app. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net. and you will be listening. If you use the Apple app or Android app, all you do is tap on it. It opens and you're listening. No registration, no locations finding, no DNA sample, no credit card number, no profile, no retina scan, none of that stuff. You tap it, it opens, you're listening. Hot101.net, and you should be listening. The TCP Media Group, and of course, our sponsor, the PayGive app, www.paygive.org, a financial transaction app, money exchange, buy things, buy gift cards, etc., etc., etc. However you spend your money to buy things, you can do it through the PayGive app. When you purchase things, you pay for them, right? That's kind of the legal way it works. It's kind of how an economy works. The PayGive app, when you buy things, you have to pay for them. Why not give when you do it? Every type of financial transaction that you put through the PayGive app, you can designate a percentage of that transaction to go to a charity of your choice. There are women's charities, children's charities, health-related charities like the American Lung Association, the American Cancer Society, the Red Cross. You can give to veterans charities, animal charities. You have to buy things. When you do, you pay for them. Why not give when you do it? The PayGive app, www.paygive.org. When you buy things, you pay. Why not give while you do it? Phone line will be open a bit later in the program. We want to give some uninterrupted time to our next guest. His name is Adam David Jones, and he is the Democratic nominee and candidate for Prothonotary. And he's going to tell us what the hell a prothonotary is. But also, he has a really compelling human story. And we wanted to share that as well. Not that his race isn't important. It is. People who are willing to step forward and serve are the best of us. So we are going to talk about his race. He's going to tell us what the hell a prothonotary is, but I also think it's a human story that you're going to want to hear. So Adam David Jones, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. Looking forward to this for like 2 weeks.
Thanks for coming back on a different day. I know you were scheduled to be here 2 weeks ago. You got sick.
Very. Thank you.
Kind of hard to do radio when you have no voice. Although some of the folks that listen to me would argue I don't either. And yet I'm here. But thank you for being willing to come back and share some of your time with us and share your story.
Pleasure.
Let me just start where I start with all new guests. Who is Adam David Jones?
Wow.
And how did you get here?
Well, many tops and turns and changes year to year, but had a pretty interesting life. I was homeless when I was 17. I dropped out of high school, but ended up finishing high school at a dropout kind of school. Went to community college and got fairly good grades, and then transferred to NYU on a scholarship and graduated summa cum laude in 2004 for theater because I happen to be a very good actor.
So no wonder you're going into politics.
I guess so. You know what? I will say this, and I mean this honestly and not completely flippantly. Running for office is very much like theater.
Well, it's often referred to as theater of politics.
Or
then again, the theater of the absurd. Take your pick.
And which, unless you're a theater nerd, is actually a real thing. But anyway,
it is.
So I went into theater.
I was one. It is a real thing.
It is.
I was backstage, but I was still a theater geek.
Oh, heck yeah. When do you still work?
Oh, I was a stagehand. I did lights and curtains. I loved it.
Yeah, I was a lighting designer. I was a lighting designer in New York.
I was a theater geek when I was a kid.
Awesome.
Way back in the dark ages when we did theater in outdoor amphitheaters and wore togas. I did, yeah.
And you had to use candle lights to light.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's right. Lighting. Yeah. By lighting, I mean beeswax candles. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was in theater a fairly long time. Taught acting to children at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute, and back here in Hanover, Pennsylvania, for a couple of years. But I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. Since I was 8 years old, I've always found a way to make a buck, if you will. If it's selling bracelets I made by hand on the playground, or going to auctions and buying a bunch of box lots and then selling them at yard sales. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, and acting, is an entrepreneurial lifestyle. It's not really a career, it's more of a lifestyle choice. But did pretty well in that. I started several businesses. I threw the first not the first. I threw the successful Pennsylvania Hemp Festival, in the sense that we were able to promote hemp economy for South Central Pennsylvania. And then it was in the Farm Bill in 2018, about 6 years after I said, this is too much. Yeah. And how I got here today is a little different. So I was an actor in California, Northern California. I came back to Hanover, Pennsylvania, because my grandfather was sick. He had Alzheimer's. And I would not let him die in a nursing home, frightened, surrounded by people he doesn't know, confused. So I moved back here and gave up my life to care for him for about 2 years. And so he would be with somebody that he trusted until he drew his last breath. And that's what I did. And I don't regret that at all. And then I was getting ready to go back to California and kiss girls and play with swords. I helped my friend organize a Bernie Sanders voter registration event in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Again, I used to throw music festivals, so I'm pretty good at logistics and produce theater, etc. When I left that event, I was brutally attacked, and I was in a coma for about a month. I almost died. They took my skull apart, took half my skull off, and let my brain swell and then gently recede. I learned how to eat, walk, and talk again, and build up my strength. And they caught the guy. Thank gosh. They caught the guy in 15 minutes. He was covered in my blood, had my money in his pocket. I mean, he was dead to rights, if you will. When they put my skull back together, I thought, okay, well, I just have to stay around here for a little while until this man goes to prison, brings him to trial, goes to prison. And then I'll get back to the West Coast and I'll kiss girls and play with swords. And then in 2017, about a year after the attack, in March 2017, they brought this man to trial. He represented himself. I said, oh, okay, so this should be easy. All right, cool. I said, what do you want me to do? Just tell the truth. Cool. That's what I was going to do anyway. And I can remember nothing. I can't remember the event, even though he was caught pretty much red-handed. I can remember nothing. So I'm a bad witness. I was in court for 2 days, had a panic attack when he cross-examined me, because the unconscious mind remembers a lot more than we remember. So does the body. And the jury came back. Again, I'm almost buying my plane ticket back to Portland, see my friends, and they said not guilty. And when I heard the words not guilty, something flipped inside my brain. And that light switch has been on ever since. And that's to find ways that I protect people from violence and hopefully keep them out of situations that would lead to what happened to me, or just not let what happened to me happen to anybody else, to get justice that I never did. And that's what I've been doing ever since 2017, one step at a time.
What is the Prothonotary?
Oh, yeah, let's get back to that. Well, it means
I'm going to eventually, if I remember how to be a halfway decent host, I'll tie it all together. But what? Remind me. Somebody remind me. Get back.
I will.
Somebody put a post-it on my head or something. So what is the What is the office of Prothonotary?
Well, it means
I think actually it is a pretty uniquely Pennsylvania thing, but
there's several states that have it, but not that many. In fact, honestly, even though I'm running for the office, it is a antiquated and should not there should not be an office for it, to be honest. In fact, one of my
Or
platforms,
sure, or at a minimum, shouldn't be something that you ever run for election for. It could be an
absolutely,
appointed
yes,
county executive could say, "I'm hiring
exactly.
Adam to be prothonotary."
Exactly. I'm 100% on board with that. That was part of my like early campaign promises. I'm going to try and get rid of the office if I get it. But I really, and I did some research on that. We would have to become self-rule in York County, Pennsylvania. But that's a more complicated thing to talk about.
That's in the weeds. That's weedy.
Yeah, that is weedy.
Speaking of him, so what is the office of the prothonotary?
Okay, so it means first scribe in Greek. Just if you want to know that, and it's an old common law position. And William Penn brought it over first. But essentially, what we need to know is it is the clerk of courts for the civil court system. We file paperwork. We make sure things run smoothly in the Commonwealth Court. We are service. We provide service to the community and help the court run smoothly. Now, that's a very simple way to say it, but what I would do with the office is a whole nother story to serve the community better. Because most of us on this that are listening, it's very unlikely, hopefully, that you will ever be in a criminal court. Hopefully, not like me. If you do have to interact with the court system, it's often going to be through the prothonotary's office. If it's for a divorce or a landlord-tenant dispute, or if you're changing your name, you're transgender, through the prothonotary. What I'm really interested in is protection from abuse orders, go through the prothonotary. But at a very high level, it's the clerk of courts of the civil justice system.
So why is it?
Hmm.
So it's the clerk of courts for, okay. It's interesting to me that it's a pair of Democrats here, you and I, who seem to be taking a rather small government point of view.
Yeah.
That this is not exactly the kind of office that one would run for, or that we should be having an election for.
Yeah,
that's very much like an executive branch. Most of the counties in many of the counties in Pennsylvania, not all of them, there are counties that have county managers. Counties in Pennsylvania, counties throughout the country have they have a federally modeled government. There's an exec, and then a council or board of commissioners, which would be your legislative branch.
Yeah.
And it seems very much to me that the prothonotary should be an executive appointment.
I agree. I very much agree.
So if this is a relatively simple position, I'm not saying the work is simple, but it's a relatively, even though it has this wonderfully poetic Greek name, it's a relatively simple position. It's the court clerk for civil cases. I
think it was Truman that said it's the most pretentious office sounding office name, and yeah, I love that.
So when you're running for an office like this, you are the Democratic nominee. The sitting incumbent is a Republican.
That's correct.
All of that large preface that I just put out there, how do you run for a position like this?
That is a heck of a question.
Yeah. How do you have like major policy differences with the sitting incumbent when the job is pretty well defined?
Okay, well, several problems there. First of all, nobody cares about policy. This is a fact, unfortunately, in small county government. What they care about is name recognition. If they know your name, they might vote for you. If they confuse your name with somebody else, they might vote for you. Policy matters not. Now policy matters to me. So I've done tons of research, talked to prothonotaries across the state. I researched, could I do this? Could I do that? And I have a lot of very fun ideas, including I have a handshake deal with a woman who used to work for the DOJ. She built a way to file paperwork, your face move, to file paperwork with the prothonotary's office that will reduce human error, make it much more effective and quick, and much more easy for anybody needs to do it, and become so the prothonotary's office becomes more accessible to people who want to use it. But still, nobody cares about policy. What they really care about is name recognition. And to piggyback on that, I actively tried to talk to the current incumbent and the person I'm running against, who are two different people. And they know better. They don't want to talk about policy. They don't want to talk about ideas. Because the truth of the matter is, if they don't do anything, they have the advantage. It's not. It's
So
just
the
too
idea
bad.
would be that if you can hide what the job responsibilities really are, if and or when you do not fulfill them, no one would know.
That's one way to look at
And
it.
it's a good way to pick up a check and get state benefits.
Yeah, literally,
That's
I was told this and it flabbergasted me. I could win the position, and if I don't show up every day or any day, I will still get paid. That's a good reason to fight for small government. That is so, I mean, that's so annoying. Yes. Yeah, you could pick up a check and not do anything. Have it direct deposited while you're in the Bahamas or some other place that you're, hiding your money. But how you run for office is, to go back to that question quickly, is just reach out to people, talk to people, shake hands, talk to them about why you're running. And obviously nobody really knows what the office is, but I tell them why I'm running, which is to help protect people from violence, and they listen.
Randall mentions in the chat, Delaware County did away with the office when our county's home rule charter was passed by county voters in 1978. And knowing Randall, that means he was only 64, I think, in 1978, and he was already following the dead around. I'm kidding, Randall.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Relax.
I think he was 70. Just
relax. I'm kidding. Well, so then why run for it?
Because I think that I can make the office more efficient and protect people from violence. That's what I care about. I care about using the office and using the civil justice system to give justice to people that would not usually get it because they don't have access to the court system. Now, I'm a white cis male whose attacker was caught covered in my blood, and I did not receive justice. How many women go to file protection? In fact, I've talked to many on this campaign trail. File a PFA. It doesn't go through. It takes too long. And they're hurt. Or I think this year alone, there's been 3 murders because a PFA was not enforced or took too long to file and didn't get to the right people. That alone makes me want to do it. Because my company that I built after my head injury and after I was attacked is involved in protecting people from violence, from violent crime. And I saw this as an extension of that same mission.
Tell people about your company.
My company is a technology company that prevents violence. And if you are in trouble, you say a safe word and it calls 911 automatically, streams all that information to the cloud so you can prosecute people later. Alerts 911 call centers with your location, video, and your live health data from your Apple Watch so you get the help you need quickly. Right now, if I'm going to get beat up like I did, I have to find my phone, I have to unlock it, I have to dial 911. And if I don't tell them exactly where I am, I'll never get help. And yeah, we're having a conversation over the internet right now with audio and video location and yada, yada, yada. But 911 call centers do not get that information.
They don't get it automatically. It has to be provided.
Absolutely. Yeah. They can. Go ahead.
Is it app? Is it software?
It's a software that works on your, it's an app on your phone.
It runs in the
or
background.
your watch. Yeah. It works on your phone. You have to download it. You have to set it up, and then it will respond to your voice.
And it's called what?
Zeer. Zeer.
So that if you're in trouble, Zeer kind of does the work, so to speak, that you would be able to do at that time. And I suppose it would work the same if you were in a automobile accident or something.
Absolutely. It's medical or criminal. Obviously, I have a disability now from when I was attacked, a few. And I'm a big fan and advocate for the National Disability Institute, which tries to help disabled people become entrepreneurs or to obtain work. And, and they agreed that they would help promote the product because it helps anybody if they're alone. We all are going to be disabled when we get old enough. Right.
Oh, I'm aware. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. If you
more of my body doesn't work than does.
I'm about 5149. Yeah. And what we build is the first level. Next level will be to interpret if you're in danger. You don't even have to say anything. You're walking down a high crime neighborhood you've never been. Your phone hears a gunshot. The phones can do that already. It recognizes you hit the ground quickly. That alone might be enough information that you should call for help. It'll beep and buzz and say, "Are you okay, Jeff? Are you okay?" And if you don't say anything, it'll call for help automatically. And then let's say your Apple Watch shows your heart rate is dropping. It's not going to wait. It's going to call for help. Send your heart, your blood pressure data, your pulse to first responders. Your location. They're going to know that there's gunshots. They're going to hear and see any audio video coming from the phone. So first responders have situational awareness, so they're not in danger as well.
So I know I asked this question, but I want to ask it again, given that we've covered a little bit more ground. You are already doing something to protect people.
I'm doing what I can.
So why run for office?
Well, here's the not the fun part to talk about. So I spent 3 years in R&D, spent, over $200,000 of my own money, raised money, got some a contract from the Air Force to build the product further. But after over 3 years, we ran out of money and we could not test the product to release it. It worked in-house. We all tested it. I got team members across the world. It worked everywhere. But we still had to do kind of more. This is life and death. It's not Tinder. It's not some game you play on your phone when you're bored and it's waiting for the bus. It's life Tinder, and death.
That's a fetish I really don't want to know about.
Sorry,
folks. So you did. Adam put that one on a tee. I had to take a swing.
Oh, you had to.
I got so many swings left in this old body. I had to take one. I can't catch up to the fastball anymore. So somebody's going to put it on a tee. I'm going to take a swing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was just highly inappropriate. But anyway.
that's acceptable. That's acceptable with me. So anyway.
Right.
We ran out of money. We got a contract for a university in Mexico that was acquired for us by the Office of International Business Development of the state of Pennsylvania, but we don't have enough money to execute it. So I want to continue to help people and find ways to help people. If we can't raise this money, I want to find another way to do it. I don't want to sit on my hands and just cross my fingers and do a rain dance. I want to do something.
I'd like to see the rain dance, though, I have to say.
Oh, you don't even want to know.
7:34 or halfway through our second hour, halfway through the program here on the Kennedy Effect, live with you for the 5th of November, 2023. A bit of program news. We will not be with you next week. 5 plus 7 is 12, November 12th. We will be traveling, the boss and I and Days of the Dog. We will be on the road next week. There's a chance that I might actually be back by showtime, but I'm going to be nowhere near in a condition to do it. We don't tend to sleep too much when we're on the road, sleeping in weird different places and so on. And the dogs, can get a bit restless and so on. We don't tend to rest all that while we're on the road, but we will be on the road next week. So we will not be with you. We will return on November 19th, which is a very exciting program. At least it's what's scheduled. Everything is about currently scheduled. That's why I put that all over the show announcements. Currently scheduled, because things go wrong. I'm excited about it, and I'll tell you a bit about it later in the program. Wherever you are on Facebook, That Other Side of Information is our home group Facebook page, or my timeline, Jeff Kennedy, for your comments and questions. Hot101.net, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and the TuneIn Radio app, the TCP Media Group, and the Pay Give app. You have to buy things. When you do, you pay for them. Why not give while you do it? You talked about the paperwork, that the Prothonotary is the court clerk of the civil courts for all intent and purpose.
Yeah, that's an easy way to
understand. How is that important? People might think of it as just pushing papers. Why is this such a big deal? Because what can go wrong if the job is not done right?
Okay, if you're not from this area, you probably aren't aware of this, but there was a brutal murder of 2 young children because a PFA was not filed correctly, and the police didn't get it in time. They did not execute it well either. I'm actually on the board of a police officer involved domestic violence nonprofit as well, and this happened before we started this nonprofit, like late last year. A man who was a police officer in Maryland abducted first of all, he kidnapped his ex-wife, raped her, tied her up. Then he abducted his 2 children, who I believe were 9 and 7. And she immediately went to the police, said, "We need help. We need help right now." It didn't go through fast enough. In Dover, Pennsylvania, where I went to high school, another PFA that should have been executed more quickly was not, and ended in a murder-suicide a month ago. So that's why I really care about it. But there's other things I care about. I care about access to the law. I care about giving access to the court system for people who can't afford it. I care about landlord-tenant disputes and trying to steer people back towards housing. Recently, I've been really involved in trying to keep kids out of foster care and have ugly divorces worked out in a mediation system instead of through the Prothonotary's office, and to keep kids with their parents. But those are some of the things that the Prothonotary does. Another thing that I think we can really improve on.
These are things that the Prothonotary does or could do.
Well, they file the paperwork, but they could do so much more than that. And when I say they could do they're not really doing anything. And I should clarify that, because the Prothonotary's office can't give you any advice. Can't say, "Oh, I want a divorce. Can you give me the form?" We can't. It's against the law. So for the last 150 years or however long, it hasn't been done. But I'm an entrepreneur. I find solutions when there's problems. As I said, I have a handshake deal with a woman who worked for the DOJ. What we could do instead is set up 2 computers running her software. Just point to that computer and sit down, and you can type it, "I want a divorce." It'll say, "What's your name?" What's your ex's name? Where do they live? Where do you live? Yada yada yada. File the paperwork with no problems. So the Prothonotary itself can't do anything, but we can do is direct people to resources to help serve them better. Domestic violence, we can't fill out those forms. We can't tell them how to fill out the forms, but we can work with Safe Home Hanover and Access York, which works with domestic violence survivors to help them get PFAs in emergency.
You can facilitate.
Exactly. And that takes building relationships. It takes stakeholder management and processes that have been honestly really damaged over the last 4 years. And we can rebuild those processes and improve them. And that's what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small business owner. I see problems. I fix them. I make things more efficient. And by doing so, I can really provide access to people who just don't have access. If you're getting kicked out of your home and you're going to be living in your car, what are you supposed to do? Your landlord sues you, you're SOL. But I've been working with the Alliance for Neighborhood Alliance of yada yada. and it's a group of neighborhood organizations that want to prevent that problem and help in other problems in York City and in York County. Well, we've talked about mediation services and working with them to drive landlords and tenants to mediation, which will save them, the landlords and the tenants, tons of money, keep people in their homes. And these are the kind of things that can be improved. Yes, I can't fill out the paperwork for you. I can't even tell you what paperwork to fill out, but I can help. One of the old Prothonotaries, I talked to her, what she would do when somebody would come in and they wanted to contest their own DUI, she would get a big book out, or told her staff to, and a big heavy book, put it down, boom. This is all the people who did that and did not succeed. You can't tell them what to do, but you can
Nudge,
yes.
facilitate, make an example, provide an example.
And use the nonprofits and other government agencies around you to serve the community better.
Is any of this happening now?
Yes. You know, there is, the Safe Home and Access York, they are already helping domestic violence survivors.
Is the Prothonotary's office facilitating any of this now?
Well, the Prothonotary office files the paperwork that comes from Access York, that comes from Safe Home, but the relationships have been damaged, and the workflow, the flow of information and customer service isn't there.
That's an interesting term that you use. I happen to work in customer service. I love it. And but there is a customer service aspect to these governmental offices.
Oh, completely.
You serve the public because the public pays you and they've elected you. You serve the public.
It's a service.
So that's not really happening now. Am I getting that correct? Here's why I'm asking.
Yes, go ahead.
You're running for this office. One of the basic principles of any election is that you have to differentiate yourself from your opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Opposition in this case happens to be the incumbent.
It's not the incumbent, actually.
Oh, is it an open? It's an open seat.
No. The incumbent lost in the primary.
Okay.
She did so terrible.
So theoretically, it's an open seat. There's no incumbent in the race.
Right. Because
you have to differentiate yourself from your opponent.
And I can talk about my opponent. We are in very good terms.
So how do you differentiate yourself then in this race? You're running for office. So part of that, again, as I mentioned with Bob Smith in the first hour, is education. You have to educate people on yourself, on your history, your experiences, and sometimes the office itself. And then you have to differentiate yourself from your opposition. So how do you differentiate yourself from your opponent while you are on the campaign trail? Is it these things that you're mentioning? that this office is capable of more. And at a bare minimum, we're capable of good relationships with community partners and providing excellent taxpayer customer service.
Mm-hmm. And the processes that we need to develop to make that happen. Then when we talk about processes and we talk about new ideas and we talk about partnering with for-profit companies to provide better access, it takes vision and it takes a certain amount of leadership, and experience is valuable there. Now, my opponent, if you want to call her that, is a good woman. She has paralegal experience. She's worked with the Prothonotary in the past, and she will do the best job she can. What she does not have, though, from what I can understand, we haven't talked in depth about it. She's never positioned herself. She hasn't talked about issues. She hasn't, not in any depth. But what I can offer, and this is the big difference, is I have 25 years of leading teams and managing stakeholders, building new processes, and setting a vision that I can get people behind to accomplish a problem that sometimes can seem huge. And this problem is not as huge as many of the other ones I've tackled. That's what I can do. That's the big difference I would have to say for me and Diane, because I don't know about her leadership skills, but I do know that I have a lot of it.
I can't tell you how refreshing that is. I think it's something that's been lost in modern campaigning, probably since the Nixon era, since the Watergate era of just trying to find when real opposition research, I think the opposition research era, if you will, began. Of that running against an opponent is not really running against an opponent. It's what can we find? Did they turn left when they should have turned right? Did they had a pinup of a pretty girl on their bedroom wall, and suddenly we just, like the old Farrah Fawcett poster from the 70s. You're too young for that. I shouldn't have used that.
I know. I've seen the video.
Old Farrah Fawcett posters from the 70s, and then we stretch that truth a little bit out into, and then we call that pornography. Oh, well, then that kind of person. Or as we see in these Moms for Liberty school board races.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody, if they're a member of the Democratic Party, they're all groomers, they're all communists. They're all somehow fascist at the same time, even those two things are on opposite ends. Right. For you to be able, and I would hope that your opponent is doing the same thing, to be quite honest. I'm not optimistic, but I would hope she's doing the same thing. The fact that you can stand here on this program and tell the globe she's a good woman.
She is.
She's a good woman. She'll do the best job she can possibly do. I just happen to think I would do a better job. Why do you suppose we can't do that anymore? I should think that as the two of you campaign throughout York County, I really would hope to have some faith left in humanity, that when you say that to people, yeah, she's a fine woman.
I say it all the time.
She'll do as good a job as she can.
I said it to the newspaper last week.
Yeah, I just happen to think I would do a better job. What kind of reaction do you get from folks when you tell them that?
Mild surprise.
Are they refreshed by it? Surprise? Well, you just said mild surprise. I didn't.
Yeah, I think that they do find it refreshing. I think that they're surprised, but they don't want to say they're surprised, maybe. Because they just hope that that's the way it should be, or maybe it was that way 50 years ago, or what have you. But actually, it was this not the most recent article that came out about us, but the one before that. And I don't know what she said about me, but all the reporters said they both talked well about each other. And yeah, I do think I know that I have a lot of leadership experience, but I do strongly believe she will do the damn best job she can. And she means it. Yeah. I think that that's something we can come back to. I'm a I was raised in a Republican environment. My grandfather ran for office in 1986 for a state house. And but he's nothing like what we call Republicans today. He would be
Well,
just
before you go too far down that road, let me ask you
yeah.
about that. Even as you campaign through York County,
Mhm.
both your opponent and yourself, and you are mature enough, I hope that's the right word. I think I am. I think I have the right word
Mhm.
to be able to look at voters and say, he's a good guy. She's a good woman.
Mhm.
I just think I'd do a better job. No, I think I would do a better job, and we're running to do a better job.
Yeah, exactly.
What else have you found? Because you could be running for lead candy wrapper picker upper on the street as a Democrat, and you're going to find people who want to shoot you in the face.
Oh,
So what
100,000%.
else have you found as the two of you run this very mature, old fashioned, dare I say, what I hope will become new fashioned again
Right.
type of campaign? What else are you finding as you are out there?
Well, what you said about people wanting to shoot me in the face, that's completely real. Slamming the door on me, or just I never vote for a Democrat, and honestly, I've found something similar sometimes in Democrats, and and of course I'm a Democrat now, and I starting to see what they say, because I would not want to be associated with the name Republican because of national politics. I am just I would and I know it probably disgusts many decent Republicans too, but they just can't say it out loud.
Or
Uh,
won't?
yeah, or they won't. So yes, I've had that kind of animosity, strong animosity. And to be honest, because I'm careful with the time that I have, I was very careful about who I spoke to. I didn't really bother speaking to many Republicans. Now, if Diane would have lost the primary, I could have got those moderate Republican voters who knew that Allison was doing a bad job. They were there. They were right there. And then I would have won handily, I believe. However,
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
however, because I know that that's not an option, I have focused more on spending my time speaking to Democrats who voted in 2016, 2018, 2020, 2022, but not in 2019, not in 2021. I've been reaching out to them to say, if you care about your school boards, because that is a big problem in this election in York County. Oh my gosh, I talk about that all day. If you care about your children in your district, if you care about a woman's right to choose, yeah, I hope you care about what I'm running for, but there are other even more important reasons you should be voting. So I spent most of my time not trying to convert moderate Republicans, but to convert Democrats who don't vote in odd year elections because they don't think it matters, when it matters so much more than voting in the presidential election. So a lot of my time has been in sort of GOTV in many ways. But when I do run into, I've run into more than a few Republicans who are just good people, right? But then you run into those that really just because, I don't know. Sometimes it's frightening.
Are you getting a lot of that misplaced anger that, hi, I'm Adam David Jones, I'm running for Prothonotary, you want to take my guns? No, I want to file paperwork on time. Is pretty much it. There's a candidate here in Northampton County. His name's Rocky. He's an African American male living up in what we call the Slate Belt here, which is the northern part of Northampton County. It's where all the slate in the country used to come from for roofs and sidewalks and patios and so on, up until maybe the 80s, I would say. when Reagan killed industry in this country.
Mm.
The slate belt was very much the same way. All the slate in the country came from the slate belt of Northampton County.
Mhm.
And here's a man, here's an African American man running in the slate belt, which is to say it is overwhelmingly white would be an understatement.
Mhm.
And he's running for controller of his small borough of Upper Mount Bethel. And Kristen and I went to area Democratic meeting, got a chance to meet this really, really fine man.
Yeah.
And he said, I've been having such trouble on the doors. When I talk to people, as soon as I say I'm the Democratic candidate, they say, oh, you want to take my guns. You want to raise my taxes. You want to, any one of 100 different lies and myths that have been told
Right.
about Democrats around the country. And I said to him, okay, and how are you handling them?
Mhm.
And he said, I don't know how to handle it.
That's
And
fair.
I said, okay, let's think of it this way. You're running for controller of one small borough
Mhm.
in what is the most electorally important county in the country, but it's one borough. What do you honestly think you can do about guns? And he said, absolutely nothing. I said, so why don't you tell people that? You Democrats want to take my guns. You know what? I don't know everything that the Democratic Party has said about nationally about guns, even though I actually do. And if you Google how many elected Democratic officials want to take your guns, the answer is 0.
Right.
I'm just running for controller Upper Mount Bethel, man. I live here just like you.
Yep.
And I think I can do a better job than the current person watching over your tax money.
Yeah.
And yet, with some of the national vitriol, because I see this a lot, no matter what office folks are running for, as soon as they say, I'm a Democrat, I'm a member of the Democratic Party, I'm a
Mhm.
Democratic committee person, blah, blah, blah. I'm the Democratic nominee. And by
Mhm.
the way, folks, it is the Democratic Party. It's been that way since it was founded by Jefferson and Madison in the 50s. Joe McCarthy said, no, you got to call them Democrats. And when you say it, you have to put the emphasis on rat because he thought we were all rats. And how American did Joe McCarthy turn out to be?
Right.
That said, I'm the Democratic nominee for Prothonotary. You want to take my guns. Yeah, you know what? I have absolutely no power to do that. I just want to do a better job with the office than's being done.
Mhm.
I mean, are you allowed? Of course you're allowed. Are you able to have those discussions, or is when that hate comes your way, is it just so much that you just say, okay, good to talk. Thank you
You
for
know what?
sir. I'll
Yeah.
leave you to your day.
When you talked about Rocky, it sparked something. I did have a conversation like that, and a few of them. At the York Fair, again, York is high, very red.
Yeah.
At the York Fair, which is very old, it's a long time, 300 years or something. Most of the people that came up, some of them, they thought we were the Republicans. And then they came up and they're like, well, oh, no, you're the wrong ones or whatever. This older woman walked up and stayed beside her. And I just say hi to everybody because whatever, man, we're all the same. And I shake her hand, told what I'm running for. She's like, oh, I don't remember exactly what it was. Well, the Democrats do this or this or this. And I'm like, and I say, I don't know, but I want to do this job. And she said, yeah, but you can't, something to the effect of, but you can't trust politicians. And I said, look me in the eye and tell me if you can't trust me. And she did. And she understood what my point was.
How do you feel about the outcome of the election? Are you optimistic?
Um,
Are you cautiously optimistic?
I'm very optimistic that the office is going to be run better. I'm very optimistic about that.
How do you feel about your chances? As you mentioned, York County is a red county. It's a pretty damn deeply red county. It would be simply on voter registration alone, it would be a bit of a minor miracle for you to win.
Oh,
But
yeah.
again, it doesn't sound like your opponent and yourself are having the traditional campaign. Maybe that changes things. It seems to be much more respectful and
It
again,
is.
dare I say, old fashioned. It's much more of an Andy Griffith campaign than it is an NYPD Blue campaign.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel?
I feel that I've made my point as clear as possible. If I'm honest, I don't think people read the newspapers where I try to make my point. Um, I feel that my opponent has such strong name recognition. And again, this is about name recognition. If they recognize your name, they will vote for you. They recognize your name, even if they don't like you, but they don't recognize any of the other names, they'll probably vote for you. So, because of that fact, I have a very difficult road to. It's not a good chance. It's not a good chance, be honest. But I don't want to say who, but someone that I'm talking about, they would have voted for me, they said, if they had lost the primary. So
Nice. Oh, I'd be
I,
right. Oh my God, that'd be all over my campaign lit. Let's be honest.
I
That'd be on my
mean,
lit, be on my signs. It'd be on an old fashioned style, uh, plain drawn banner like they pull over the Jersey Shore.
the point is,
Flying that plane all over York County.
is that this office needed changed, and I, if things have been 500 votes differently in May, I would have a quite a good chance, even in this very red county. I'd have a 60% chance. Now, because I don't know if you know the Platt's name in South Central Pennsylvania, but Todd Platt's good Republican. He was our representative from like till 2012. Now he's a judge, and his sister or sister-in-law was the Prothonotary before the bad Prothonotary. So there's a lot of strong dynasty, if you want to call it like Duck York County dynasty or something. And it's at least she's not a bad person. At
Did you
least
see
she's a
the
good
name on?
person.
Did you see the name on the screen? I know a little bit about family political dynasties.
Oh yeah, sure.
8:02 Eastern time. We've entered our final hour of the program. Adam will be with us as long as he wishes. We will try to take the program up to 9 o'clock, straight up into the Villain's View, live with you from 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. And oh, by the way, if you are just waking up or you had a really late, long Saturday night, or you just tuned out because it's the weekend, by the way, it is 8:02, not 9:02. I happen to know because Kristen and I have been out all damn day doing political work. I have clocks in this house I have not fixed yet. And believe me, when we got home at about 5:30 or so, a half hour later than I wanted to be to do show prep and get the tech together and all that stuff, I looked at one of those clocks that was still wrong and said, oh, goodness gracious. I'm an entire hour late for my own program, and remembered that it was a clock that I had not reset. So if you have some of those clocks in your house, please know it is 8:03 Eastern Standard Time. The Villain's View comes at you live in 57 minutes at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, 8 Central, and 6 Pacific. Before I do the top of the hour reset, Randall says in the chat, yes, agreeing with Adam. Odd year elections are really more important than even year elections because your biggest tax burdens, quote unquote, tax percentages and so on, are property taxes, and they come down to school, municipality, and county taxes as opposed to just your income taxes. Important point from the big man, Randall. Wherever you are on Facebook, this is the Kennedy Effect live for the 5th of November, 2023. Just under an hour left. The Villain's View comes at you live at 9 p.m. We will not be with you next week. We return on November 19th. The Kennedy clan will be on the road next weekend doing some traveling. We will return to you on November 19th, wherever you are on Facebook. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We could not do without you. We could not be here if you are not there. That other side of information is our home group Facebook page, is also our YouTube channel. It's also our Instagram, and now I'm turning around to cheat on my cheat sheet. It is also our Instagram, our Patreon, our TikTok. It's all that fun stuff. I haven't done any of the new things yet. I told myself one day, I just realized this little story, a little behind the scenes. I always let you guys behind the scenes. I was going to sit down this one day. I think I had George on the phone. I can't remember at this point. Like, I'm going to sign up for a bunch of this other crap. I'm going to sign up for Mastodon, and I'm going to sign up for this. I'm just going to do like a top 10 social media sites, and I'm going to plug into the ones that I'm not a part of yet. And then I realized a fact like today, because we're talking about two different times. This was a while back, and then this happened today, that I was just texting with Sergeant Mac to make sure that he was live tonight, because I keep telling you that he is, but he is live tonight. And then I realized I never did a TikTok promotional video for this program today. And then it makes me think probably a good thing that I did not sign up for 18 more social media platforms, because I can barely do the ones that I'm a part of. But the ones that I am a part of are active. You can find us on any of them, and they are all named the same thing, that other side of information. Hot101.net, Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Tell Alexa to play Hot101.net. The TCP Media Group from Lancaster, PA, and the PayGive app, paygive.org. You have to buy things. When you do, you pay for them. Why not give while you do it? I'm going to open up the phone line as well. I don't think Adam's afraid of live phone calls. Darn it. He's not afraid to run for Prothonotary, so he sure as hell is not afraid of live phone calls. What Adam David Jones is our guest. He is what is your title, Edzir? Founder?
Founder is the best title. I'm the
everything,
CEO. I'm the president. I just do
guru.
everything.
You're a hat rack.
What's that?
You're a hat rack. You wear all the hats.
Yeah. The only thing I can't do is the technology, because I was a pretty actor. I was not a coding engineer. But I built a team around me that's more than accomplished, thankfully.
This is not what I was going to ask you originally, but you made me think of something. You touched on this a little bit earlier. Maybe you want to elaborate on it. Maybe you don't. What are the similarities and or differences between acting and politics? I would imagine, and I say this with all seriousness, I know the question might sound a little silly, but I do say this with all seriousness. I would imagine that you use your public presentation skills, stage skills specifically, more than television or film, from body posture to vocal projection to hand gestures to all of that in your public life.
It's really easy for me. It's very difficult for many people, but I can comfortably and enjoy it, get in front of 300 people and just riff about what I care about.
See, I find that's why I do this.
First
off, I do it because I'm one of them and I can't shut up. And I ran for my first office when I was 5 years old. Started doing radio and television when I was 16. Live in studio. And I'm not afraid of it. I've told people before that when I'm about ready to go on, that I still get a little nervous, and I do, because I want it to go well. And I want it to be right, and I want people to enjoy it. And I feel that pressure to provide something of service, something of value, so that even if folks aren't listening live right now, and if you look at the number of people who are watching us right now, it's not that many, it's less than 10. But I also know that during the week, that will continue to grow, because people take in the program recorded and they take it in smaller bits. They might do 15 minutes here, 10 here, maybe a half hour in the car on the way home, that kind of thing. but I don't fear this. I was a national speaking competitor and all that fun stuff. And
Oh,
I put you, if I'm running if I'm running as a candidate in those days, I think are well behind me now, but give, while you're over there, and I always point to my right because of course my opponent would be to my right, wouldn't they? While you're over there sweating bullets over 5 people in the room, you give me an arena. I don't care how many people are in there. It's the same principle.
mm-hmm.
It's talking, it's being factual, it's using
Authentic.
science, data, and history to back up your positions. It's making the case, it's eye contact, it's vocal inflection, it's when to speak louder and when not to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you're
So
good
I
at
imagine
theater,
you use a lot of those skills as you're out and about.
it just comes naturally after a while. You know, after doing it for 20 years or so, almost, it becomes natural. And I enjoy improv. I toured with the improv company a while ago, Chicago City Limits, and yeah, and if I'm passionate about something, I don't have a problem. And honestly, the bigger the audience, the better it is. So yeah, that does really help. And I'm trying to train like Kina Minifields. She's running for county commissioner. Could be our first Black executive of the county ever, much less a Black woman. You know, and she started wasn't too good to see her on stage. She was really frightened, and you could really tell. But now she just got better. She's confident, and I didn't really have to coach her necessarily. I just gave her a couple pointers, and really, she just. But yeah,
But that's interesting. I wasn't expecting the conversation to go here. It's why I love doing this show.
cool.
I wrote a proposal to the Pennsylvania State Democratic Party
Mm-hmm.
for a job position.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, it was for me, but it was candidate development.
That's a great idea. I think that's
We
something we
don't
need.
do enough of that, do we? We have really great human beings running for office.
I know it too well now. Too
And
well.
then they get to the front of the room and you just go, oh boy. Oh, it's not good, that. It's not good. Or it's uncomfortable. Or it's just flat bad.
Mm-hmm. There's almost more fundamental problems we have with helping candidates go. I have a logistics background in theater production. I'm really good at like organizing things. Keenan didn't have any of that. She's a single mother, good in a master's degree in public policy, was homeless 4 years ago. She didn't have any of that. She had no help, none. So I took it upon myself to be her, whatever, everything, her cat rack. She just sent me a text message asking me to write a script for her for robocalls to go out tomorrow, because I was working on this weekend, sending text messages out, found a really affordable service, a GOTV campaign for, again, people who voted 22, 20, 18, but not 19. That didn't pan out with that company, so now we're going to put our money towards robocall. My point is, I've dedicated a lot of my campaigning to campaigning for her, because that is a really important position. And like I said, I think I could do my job really well, but it won't be done poorly. But Kina,
candidates always benefit, especially Democratic ones. I have made this statement on this program 1,000 times before. No one knows how to stretch a dime like a Democratic candidate for office.
or a nonprofit theater producer.
Yeah, exactly. But that said, come on, I'm clicking on it, damn it. Let me, again, at the risk of asking the same question twice, how important do you think, you're in this political sphere now?
Mm-hmm.
You are a Democratic candidate. You're a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
What? We have not done a good enough job, I don't think, as a party developing candidates. Whether we think it is superficial or not, it goes back to the Kennedy-Nixon debates. We have to look good. We have to be composed. We have to hold ourselves in a certain way. You have to be approachable and friendly, but also authoritative and knowledgeable and
Authentic.
and command the room. And we need to be comfortable in front of a group and all of these different things at the same time. How important is this? How important have you found this? How important are your skills that really need to be passed on and shared with other candidates? And Randall, I know you're there. I'll get to you. Just give me a sec.
I have those skills in spades. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't think it's as important for what I'm doing. For what my mission is, it's not as valuable. And I do have those skills in spades. And so many people do not. And
but for
I
so
think
many
that's important, but I think there's much
more.
more fundamental things that need, like, we don't know how to set up PACs.
Well,
We don't know how to fundraise. We don't know how to write many of us don't know how to write an email to ask for money. There are far more fundamental issues we have to work on as a party before we can work on, I have professional lighting here and a microphone. Before we can worry about that shit, we have to worry about just the fundamentals on how to run a campaign.
Fair.
And I learned it just,
I don't disagree. I take your point, and I think it's an exceptionally good point. I just know that I've seen a lot of candidates in my life. And I have seen those candidates not just in Democratic committee rooms, but in public. And you can tell when they take the stage that folks in the audience are going, nope, I don't see it. Yeah. Even when everything here is exactly as it should be. And here, one of the things that the public does to a political candidate is, can I see that person in that job?
Yeah.
And sometimes that decision is made literally within 4 to 7 seconds.
And it's with your gut. People do not vote with their head. They don't even vote with their heart. They vote with their gut.
A poor public speaker, somebody who's dressed, ripped clothes, and I know these examples are a bit extreme, but are a bit hyperbolic, but somebody who's dirty or just isn't dressed right for the room, or, bad public speaker, never makes eye contact, constantly reads off the paper or notes.
They're just afraid. If
they're
they're
scared to death. Right.
That's a turn off.
People look up and say, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. And your points are extremely well taken. But I do think that our party, locally, in the county, in the Commonwealth, in the country, does not do nearly enough work.
That's something I would be good at.
To work on the outer packaging.
We should tag team on that job. Get the party
be
to
careful
hire
what
both
you
of
wish
us.
for. I can't get them to hire me. I probably can't get them to hire both of us, but it does.
One of the things I did this year was train entrepreneurs on how to tell their story and pitch to investors, because it's storytelling. It's story, and so is politics. So it seems to me
that it's the job. It is very much the job of the party to do that. Not candidates already don't have any money. They're not going to hire me and pay me hundreds of dollars an hour to do it for them. It's a service that our party should be providing. Anyway, let me get to the phone. Randall, you were patient. Thank you for waiting, sir. Please have your say to the world and Adam David Jones.
Hey, Adam. I'm here in Delaware County, the county that's southwest and west of Philadelphia County.
Yeah.
I'm down here on the edge of Delaware, the state, the original outer suburb. Of course, now it's just, it goes all the way to Lancaster now. But in any case, up there where you are, in central PA where you are, first I want to say thank you for running for office. Thank you.
No problem.
If more young people, I'm 71. I've been a committee person here for 45 years.
Nice.
And I'm tired.
Thank you.
I'm really tired.
I'm tired.
I'm really tired, man. I can't campaign anymore door to door. I can't walk more than half a block now, because of physical things that have happened to my life from old age. But so I respect you, young man, and go for it. And I just want to say one thing to you. This part of my county has always been heavy Republican land.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Jeff, can you hear him? Something cut off.
and I ran first office I ran for was in 77. I ran for my township as an auditor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ran for my school board in 79 and 81. And yes, I lost all of them. But then I ran for township commissioner in my ward. 7 wards, 7 township commissioner. And yeah, I barely lost that election the first time I ran. I ran 4 years later against the Republican incumbent that defeated me. And on that election day, so many Republicans came up and said, Randall, it's your time. That absolutely was because of name recognition. So your point you took earlier is very, very correct.
It's the first
So
thing.
don't give up. If you lose on Tuesday, do not give up, young man. Just keep rocking and rolling away.
Thank you. If I can push my mission forward to protect people from violence and create a safer world, then I will. But I'm not going to do it just for shits and giggles. But thank you. I appreciate it.
No, that is the most important issue of your life. Always keep that issue number one, no matter in your personal life, no matter in your business life, no matter if you run or don't run in the future for public office again. Always keep that to your heart because that is your heart.
That's my true north. That's my North Star.
You got it. Hey, by the way, I had longer hair than you did when I was your age.
I don't know about that, buddy. I didn't even let it all down.
Yeah, well, mine went down on my back.
Nice. Awesome.
Hey, Randall, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Because I'm not breaking any news here for anybody who's a regular listener of the program at all. You've been around a long time. You've been involved in Democratic politics a long time. You've been elected official and an elected party official a long time. Does our party do a good enough job of taking the really good-hearted, decent, and I mean decent inside, decent human beings that carry the flag for our party and run for these offices? Are we doing a good enough job of making them better candidates?
Absolutely not. And your early discussion with Adam was absolutely correct, Jeff. When I ran for office, there was always people with more expertise, people who had more public speaking experience that taught me. And then there was a side note of how I learned to speak in public. And I was in JC for a decade.
So was I. I was a national speak up competitor.
Cool.
State speak up competitor.
Yeah. I was a New Jersey a representative from New Jersey at the national competition when I went. Yeah, my year. Yeah.
Well, you learn something new, Jeff, every day that makes us closer friends.
Yeah, it's too bad what happened to JC's, but yeah, that's a different story for a different day.
My oldest brother-in-law, who was deceased from his cancer years ago, he was state JC president out in Kansas.
I was state president in New Jersey.
And his daughter, my niece, she was state president in Colorado. in JC's before she was roostered out.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
roostered out.
Yep. Yep. As it should be, though. That was one of the founding principles of the organization, is that once you get certain age, move on. So,
And they changed the age. It used to be 30, and then they raised it to 35, and they raised
Right.
it to 40.
40.
So I was age 40. And part of that reason they raised it was because they raised the lower age to be a JC. Originally, you could be a JC at 18, but they raised it after Reagan blackmailed all the 50 states to raise the drinking age to 21, or lose the highway trust fund money, which was their taxes they spent within their state. After he blackmailed all 50 states to raise the drinking age to 21, that's when JC's raised the age to
40, I think, wasn't it?
I specifically did not join JC until, and that was in the early 80s, until JC accepted women equally as members.
Yep, because it used to be separate organizations.
Local chapter was 50% women.
Yeah.
And we had a number of women presidents in our chapter. We had a number of women vice presidents. I was vice president for a couple terms in my local JC chapter for community development, because that's where my emphasis was upon.
Mine was governmental affairs. Surprise, surprise. But let's get back on the rail quickly before I let you go. I just want to, when it comes to, it could be any candidate. I don't want to pick out anybody in particular. That'd be unfair, I think. But as far as I think being a political candidate is an art. I think there's an art to it. Again, how you walk into a room after being introduced, how you greet people, how you shake hands, what you wear to different specific appearances, your hand gestures, your vocal inflection, the eye contact that you make, the people that you make eye contact with on very certain specific sentences and or facts and or points that you are trying to make within a given stump speech or an extended speech, or taking questions, the art of taking live questions and answering them. These very, the polishing, perhaps, if you will, if that's not too degrading of a term, but the polish of being a public figure, because politicians are public figures. I don't think that we do a terribly good job of that as a party, even though I have deep faith in the people that are stepping forward to run, that they are excellent people, but they're not always excellent candidates. What do you say to that? Because you've been around for a while. Does that make sense to you? Do you get the kind of differentiation that I'm trying to make?
Well, absolutely, Jeff. But I think there's a couple of critical elements in that. Number one, you've got to be an extrovert. You've got to be an extrovert, like myself, like you are, Jeff. Like
it helps, for sure.
Adam is, and sounds like Adam is. You have to have confidence in yourself, whether you're speaking in front of 10 people or whether you're speaking in front of 300 people. You have to have confidence in yourself. Mm-hmm. And that, polls say the majority of Americans classify themselves as introverts. So, that rules out a lot of people that should probably run for office, because they're not only good people, but they probably have good ideas. But they just, I can't run. I can't run. That I just can't get. I can't go door to door. I can't. Whatever. You follow me?
Yeah, I listen. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. I just don't know that. I don't know that we teach those skills, and I don't know that we take people who might have those skills and polish them.
That was the nice thing about JC. Competing in your local chapter for Speak Up, going to your district chapter, going to your regional chapter, going to the state for, and then on the national, in your case, which I did not win my state competition that year. That year I was speaking about the traitorism under the Reagan administration, the traitorism of his national security advisor that orchestrated the debauchery that Central America turned into.
It all started with Reagan.
I'm sorry?
It all started with Reagan.
Well, of course it all started with Reagan.
Unbelievable.
Of course,
Yeah.
Reagan.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, our whole immigration problem in this country from the South all boils down to what Reagan did during his two administrations to destroy Central America, destroy other types of people supporting democracy within their country. You know, Honduras, El Salvador. You know, the list is all there. And
because they had social democratic governments.
Exactly.
Large amounts of their internal tax money on healthcare and education. And because they chose a different path, because they weren't spending it on defense, they weren't buying weapons from the United States. They were nationalizing their own natural resources from within their own borders, taking that money and spending it on education and healthcare and housing. And of course, that's not capitalism. We can't have that. And heaven forbid the folks in the United States might realize that there is a different way other than trickle down. So we have to ruin all these regimes. And that's exactly what they did. And 40 plus years later, we still have caravans. Yeah, I'm going to use the word caravans because it's one word they use on Fox News that's correct. We have caravans of people continuing to stream north to escape what are these libertarian capitalist nightmares throughout Central America. The only country that's gotten it right is Costa Rica, so far as I can tell. Wait, I might have that wrong. Is it El Salvador? It's not El Salvador. No, I think it is Costa Rica. I remember, I'm blanking on the name of the president of Costa Rica. I can see his face.
Costa Rica is very stable.
I'm blanking on his name, but he was the one guy that the U.S. tried to take out and couldn't. And he said, look, we're not gonna spend. And he swore off the military entirely. Gosh, I wish I could remember his name because I can still see in my mind him giving this speech. And he said, look, we harbor no ill will toward the Americans. We know what they tried to do here, but it failed. We're going to move on. $0 in military spending. Zero. He took all the money and used it for education, health, schools, housing, and environmental protection to keep Costa Rica green, if you will, to borrow a phrase, to keep Costa Rica green. And it is as stable a nation as there is anywhere in this hemisphere, the United States included, because it's the one that the Reagan administration couldn't ruin. And by the way, that's the same history, a little more complicated when it comes to Venezuela, but a very similar story. When Mr. Chavez came to power, he was a democratically elected leader. He's a socialist, and he said it straight out. He said, the oil under our ground is ours. It's not the Americans, not anybody else. It's ours. And we're going to take it and sell it. And the revenues that come back are ours. We're going to put that money into schools, healthcare, infrastructure. We're going to give people jobs. We're going to build housing. That's exactly how he started. Now, he also got drunk with power and became the dictator that we were all told he was from day one. He wasn't that from day one. He was a democratically elected leader who decided that Venezuela's oil, oh my goodness, I hope we're all sitting down, that Venezuela's oil actually belonged to Venezuela and that they should benefit the same way the state of Alaska does, by the way, where every man, woman, and child in Alaska gets what's called a petroleum dividend. A free check. No questions asked. Of at least, I think the last time I heard a report on it, it might be higher now. It should be higher now, given oil prices. But every man, woman, and child in the state got a check for $2,000 at the beginning of every single year. That was the oil dividend, which, by the way, is anyone? Socialism. Thank you. It's called socialism. So anyway, last couple points, Randall. Finish up, and we'll go ahead. Finish. I'll let you finish up because I stole a bunch of your time. Go ahead.
It's okay. Real quickly, the problems after Reagan's militarization against democracies in Central America. Two bigger problems actually started and are now in control. One, it's the gas. Number two, however, is climate change. Climate change is probably driving immigration here more than anything. Between El Salvador and Honduras, there is a death belt that was once productive area before for coffee plantations, etc. And it's just dead. They don't get enough rain. It's too hot now. Economics in Central America being bankrupt is what is driving immigration here to the north. But that's not what we were really talking about in this issue. We were really supposed to be talking about local. And Adam, again, I want to thank you for standing up. And I want to thank you for what you've done after listening to your story on your traumatic brain injury, after listening to your assailant get not guilty, and after listening to what you've done as an entrepreneur and what you've done working with other agencies to push forward reform in our criminal justice system, I commend you, young man.
Thank you, Randall. Thank you.
God bless you.
It was Oscar Arias. God, I thought I had it.
Oscar
Arias.
What year was that?
He served from 86 to 90, and then he served again from 2006 to 2010. It was Oscar Arias because he started in 86. The Reagan administration tried to topple him too, and they couldn't do it.
Yep.
Oscar Arias. God darn it, I should have known that. The picture of him I have found online. He's a lot older than he was then. But I remember that speech. I remember him saying, we hold no ill will toward the Americans. We know they tried to ruin this government, but they didn't. So we're just going to press forward. Let's just keep going. We'll take care of our own.
I'm surprised the U.S. didn't
try that they didn't try again. They probably did. Randall kind of brings up a good point there at the end. Oh, Randall, I'm going to say goodbye. Is that all right?
Yeah. Goodbye, both of you. I love you both.
All right. Have a great friend.
Bye-bye.
Randall brings up a good point, Adam. It's probably something I should have asked at the beginning. After a not guilty verdict, it would have been very, very simple for you to say, you know what? I'm out. I'm out of here. And go live in some remote place in Alaska, or go back to California, go back to acting, or just, I'm out. I'm out of here. Or and just sort of, in a manner of speaking, check out of life and just go, you know what? It's all me. I'm just gonna, the hell with it. I'm out of here. So why didn't you? Why not?
It's too fucking easy, man. I like a challenge. I want somebody to say this can't be done, and then I'll figure out how to do it. And and that's one part of that's who I am. That's my personality, but it's hard to define. When I heard the words "not guilty," something just snapped. Something just snapped inside my head, and I can't let that go. I've always, growing up, I always have had uh, like an addiction to justice. Like I cannot accept injustice. And honestly, it bothers me less that it happened to me and all the people that I talk to on this campaign trail or anywhere, the injustice that happens to them. That infuriates me. And I really thought this guy was going to be convicted for a year. I mean, it was obvious. Covered in my blood, my money in his pocket. He's picked up in 15 minutes. Represents himself, and I just something just flipped inside my head, and that's my North Star. It came out from behind the clouds, and my life is not about acting and kissing girls. It's about something. My art was bigger than me in a certain sense. I became different things. And I expressed the human condition pretty well. But this is, someone's got to fucking do this, and I will.
If you should not be successful in this election, are you done with politics, or is this just the beginning?
We'll see. I'm not done. I don't know where, again, for the first time in years,
I don't think when I say done with politics, I don't think it necessarily means that you never run for anything other. Do you just walk away from politics, or do you take a different step?
Well, I'm going to be involved in my party much more than I was over like the pandemic and things. I mean,
have you had the full support of the party?
Yeah, I would think so. I hope so. Certainly, my local
hasn't
party.
been anybody in the party that's pushed back against you or refused to help or anything.
There's one guy that wrote an article to the newspaper that said, "I don't have any experience. I'm just an actor," or something like that, because that's kind of the way one of the articles contextualized me. But he really just picked out one part of it. He didn't look at my entrepreneurial experience and things like that. But he did say I was good looking, so I'm like, whatever, it's a wash.
Always keep it in perspective. Keep the important
exactly. I will be more involved in my party politics, my local politics. For 3 years I was in Philadelphia. Came back from Philadelphia after sinking my old sailboat that I was living on. No bathroom, no shower, no. It was pretty nasty. And but I was in a startup. I was in an accelerator in Philadelphia. And then the boat sunk, and then I moved back to Hanover and set up an office here, as you can see. And then the pandemic happened. So I haven't really ventured into local society until I started running for office. And now I'm into it. So I'll probably be a lot more involved in my local organization. Today, I spent 5 hours packaging meals for hungry children in the Philippines at my local church. I'm not a member of, but I met them through the YWCA, through Safe Home, and just great people. So I'll probably be a lot more involved like that. And I'll probably be more involved in helping get Democratic candidates elected. I think I could probably help them. I think I could probably help run a pretty good campaign.
Oh, if you have logistics and budgeting experience, yeah. I mean, it's not, obviously campaigns have their own, political campaigns have a bit of their own unique qualities that are profoundly not business.
Yeah.
One of the things that really makes me mental is when I hear self-identified Republicans, because there's not many real ones. They don't really know what it means to be a traditional Republican.
Right.
their their self-identified republicanism isn't based in history or policy. It's just based in rage, or because Sean Hannity told them that they were. They're not making these decisions for themselves. That said, one of the things that really makes me nuts is when they talk about that government has to be run like a business. No, it doesn't. Businesses are meant and created to make a profit, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, especially when they're regulated properly. Governments are not meant to make profits. They're actually meant to lose money. They're specifically designed to lose money. Governments are formed to do the things that individuals cannot do for themselves.
Exactly.
We cannot provide our own fire
Build
protection, build roads, bridges, airports, water systems, power systems, libraries,
Yeah.
community education, postal service. And these are things are all inherently socialistic also, by the way.
Of course.
The world's largest socialist institution, the United States military. Government is not meant to run like a business. Businesses do not control monetary policy. Governments do. Businesses do not recognize currency or regulate it. Governments do. So governments and businesses are inherently different. However, there are definitely business skills, exceptionally valuable, political campaigning, marketing, budgeting, fundraising, pitch making, if you will.
Absolutely. It's a pitch. Why me?
I have a sneaky feeling you and I will talk about candidate development going forward.
I'm down for that.
Because I
already got some ideas percolating.
Well, it's just, I hate to hammer it. I'm not trying to hammer it. But I've been involved in politics since I was 5. I ran for my first office when I was 5. I ran to be my homeroom representative in my kindergarten class. And we had to give a speech. And I thought, done. Because nobody else at 5 is going to stand up here and give a speech.
You're like, snip, snap. I got this.
So I stood up and I said, I'm a Kennedy. And this is what we do. We run for office. We serve. And we represent those who cannot represent themselves. I was 5. And I lost.
Oh, no way.
Well, the other kid was way more popular than me.
I was going to say, he must have been cocky.
So, yeah, no, he was just more popular. I got bussed into that school and he was local. So when he left, the class walked home with him. I got on a bus. I do think that was the difference. But the point is, there is an art to being a candidate. There just is. It's not about being fake.
No, it has to. Well, for me,
I think there's a very big difference. It's not about, like I said, it's not about, to take your experience into account. It's not that you're backstage while somebody's reading this elaborate introduction of you and you get into character. But to an extent, you kind of do get into it.
You connect to yourself.
Because you gather yourself, you stand up straight, you fix your tie, and then you go. And then it's go time. The lights are on and you're on. There is some performance art to it. There is. But
it's still being
you can't be fake at the same time. You have to be polished. You have to be composed. You have to be professional. You have to be knowledgeable. You need to know what the hell you're talking about. Because if you just sort of blabber around it, people will figure that out.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I have been in crowds with candidates that I have been working with, and I sit in the back of the room and I watch the crowd. And I can watch people go, no.
Yeah.
Or I watch them move forward and listen. I watch them shake their head. I watch them go, no. Because agreement and disagreement is fine. But when they look and go, no. So this person standing here running for this office, they're speaking to me and I'm thinking, yeah,
It
I don't
doesn't
see it.
fit. It's like two
I don't
pieces
see
that
it.
doesn't fit. And to be honest, and to be,
But the
you know,
candidate can control that
some
perception.
things, but maybe
You
they're a
can set
black,
that.
maybe they're black, or maybe they're a woman, or maybe they're gay. There's a lot of reasons where people don't vote for somebody in different counties or different areas or different countries, and they don't have any control over that.
No, but you can peel away a little bit at that onion. They're not going to not vote for me because I'm sloppy or I can't read my speech or because I won't look them in the eye or or I don't know the facts. I don't know my history. I don't understand what this office does that I'm running for. I'm going to take away the reasons for them not to support me.
That's fair.
And then if it comes down to the fact that I'm black in a white area, can't do anything about that, kids. I can't wash this off.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Or white in a black area, or Hispanic in a black area, or whatever it might be. But I'm going to take away the reasons, or a woman, because women still face tremendous discrimination in politics.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to peel away at that onion and take
leadership.
away the reasons why these folks should not support me. I'm dressed right. I know my facts. I have command of my office. I have command of myself. I have command of the history. I own this stage. Give me any question. Come on, let's have a Q&A. Give me anything. I got it. I got it. I got it. And then if it comes down to the fact that I wore a blue tie instead of a striped tie, I can't control that, but I can control so much of it. And again, we have great human beings that run for office. We really do. We have great human beings that run for office. They're just not always very good candidates. So
I agree.
those are two very different things, I should think. Anyway, we have 9 minutes left in the program. We need to wrap up. The Villain's View comes live 9 p.m. I want to open the floor to you, sir. If there's anything that we did not get to cover, any answer you didn't get to fully explain, how do people find you, follow you? Just the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first thing I'll say, I guess, you can find me at adamdavidjones.com. That's the campaign website. You can find me on Facebook at Adam D. Jones for Prothonotary. And send me a message and ask me some questions, and I'll hold that stage. I'll hold that space for you. But what I'd like to say is I know my why. I know why I want to do this. And wherever you are, whenever you listen to this, know your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you care? Why does it motivate you? What does it give you? There's got to be something comes from the deepest recesses of your gut if you're going to do anything as stupid as run for office. If you're going to do anything as crazy as start a technology company and you don't know shit about technology. Why? Why you? Why now? Know that, and then you can follow it, because our hearts are important, but there's something about getting up in the morning and making you hungry in a good way that just, my stomach burns for what I want and what I want to do and the world that I see. It burns inside me, and that keeps me going. And my why is really clear to me. So whatever you're going to do in your life, just ask yourself why. Because it's short. Your life is short. I don't care if you're 5 or 55. Your life is short. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it with that. Know your why.
I want to thank you very much for being here, and especially for taking nearly 2 hours to be
fun.
with us on a Sunday evening, Sunday night, if you will. Yeah, Sunday night, 9 o'clock's nighttime. It means a lot to me. I'm always humbled at the amount of time that folks are willing to give us on this very humble program. I know we have a sponsor, but I don't make any money. Everything here is equipment that I've bought. I'm well in the hole for this. This is literally my second bedroom, if you caught the introduction to the program. So whenever it's not like we're paying big appearance fees to be here. This isn't the Tonight Show or any of that
My
stuff.
check's not in the mail?
No, it's not in the mail.
What the?
When you get a piece of rubber, you'll know it's a check from me. You can slam it and watch it bounce. That said, I do appreciate it very much. And I always feel at the end of any new guest that's been here that we've made new friendships. So I'm humbled by that. I appreciate it very much. And as I said, I do have a gut feeling that you and I are going to discuss this thing further.
I'm excited.
I do have bad news for you.
Mm.
And that is that you are part of the family now, sir. And that means that we will call on you again. I very much hope that this is not
Hell yeah.
only time that we see you.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to reach me. You know how to reach the program. If there is something that you feel our public needs to know, our audience, then you tell me and you come. And it doesn't have to be for 2 hours either. It could be a quick hit here
Okay.
or there. I can see us doing a live online candidate training. I could making a candidate training out of a program.
Ooh,
I
that'd
could
be
see
fun.
a program because we have programs to fill coming out of the election that we might make a little non-political, even though candidate training is political. We have public safety issues that we could discuss given what's happened to you in your life and the work that you do. And I just very much hope, very long-winded way, surprise, surprise, the radio guy's long-winded, a very long-winded way of saying that you are welcome here. You are part of
Thank
our
you.
Kennedy Effect family. I feel humbled and appreciative of this new friendship. I hope that we talk again very soon.
I hope so.
That I will see you perhaps maybe at the Pennsylvania State Democratic Committee in the middle of December in Harrisburg, which is not a long drive for you.
Not a long drive at all.
I would highly, highly recommend that you come there. I'll be hosting the Pennsylvania State Democratic Progressive Caucus hospitality room where all of the candidates will be coming up seeking our endorsement of state party. You really want to see how the sausage is made, folks. If Randall was still on the phone, he'd agree. Come see that. So I will be there in the middle of December. That said, just thank you. And please let this not be the only time that we talk. Please come back and see us on the program again. You are part of our family now. And I'm very, very grateful for the time that you've given us tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
I can't wait to see you again.
Thank you, brother.
It's Adam David Jones. We have about 3 minutes left in the program. The Villain's View comes up live right after us. We've covered a lot of ground tonight. And I know that some folks out there continue to wonder, why do you give so much time to these folks for these quote unquote small races? These are not small races. As Randall mentioned in the comments, your municipal government, your county government, your school boards, the preponderance of money that you pay in a given year in taxes goes right there. Your municipality, your school, and your county. It stays home. The system was designed that way. My saying that is not a statement of virtue. It is what it is. It is about he's right about that. And that's why these are important. Your county government, your municipal governments, and your school boards affect you more than you might realize. These are important races. These are good people running for them. Going back to the first hour of the program, Bob Smith is my friend. I'm honored to say that. His opponent, the incumbent, Mark Pinsley, is my friend. I have worked on campaigns for Mark Pinsley. These are both men are my friends. I'm humbled and proud to say so. Simply because Bob and I don't agree, and simply because I think Mark is simply a better man for the job, I would not urge you to vote for Bob. That doesn't make Bob less of a human being. It just means we disagree. And how refreshing that he could be here. We could be here one-on-one in fellowship, talking to you, my beloved audience, and not argue, not scream, not name call, none of that. We just happen to disagree on policy. It's the way it used to be. Think about what Adam said about his race. He and his opponent have gone out into the public and said, she's a good woman. He's a good guy. I just think I'd do a better job. No, I think I'd do a better job. How refreshing. How needed in this time. That's our show for tonight. For everyone at TCP, Andrew, Taekwon, Whitney, Marquise, for everyone at hot101.net, DJ Lex, DJ Earl, all the DJs at hot101.net, for George and Lynn Dare, for April Riddick, whose fundraiser I was at tonight. Vote for April Riddick, by the way. And of course, for Daisy the dog, Guy the cat, and my beloved Kristen downstairs. That is all the damage that we can do for 1 week. We will return to you live on, I don't remember, the 19th. The 19th. We'll be back live on the 19th. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. The Villain's View starts right now.